silent mode or switch off so we don't disturb the speakers and the other attendees. Number 2, we encourage you all to participate in the discussion and ask questions related to the seminar topic during the Q&A session and the end of the speech session. Please make sure you keep your question brief and to the point to make sure to allow for a productive discussion. Number 3, we request our attendees to refrain from any side conversation during the seminar as it can be distracting for the other participants. Number 4, please make sure you stay for the duration of the seminar as it will provide a holistic understanding of the topic. We hope that you will adhere to these rules and participate fully in the seminar. Thank you for your cooperation. Without any further ado, let's begin the seminar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the Stadium General 2023, Universitas Padjadjaran with the topic, What do we need in the near future? We want to give our respect and greetings to the Honorable Dr. Insinyur Rahmat Hidayat SPT MSI IPM as the Dean of Fakulty Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran, the honorable speakers, and to all participants who attend in this program. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to host this seminar today, and we would like to start this session by inviting everyone to stand up for our national anthem. Now, please remain standing for the national anthem of Indonesia, which will be played shortly. Thank you, everyone. Please take your seat. Okay, we got an exciting lineup of speakers and event plan for today's seminar, and we hope you will find it engaging and informative. Let's get started. Our agenda for today are opening speech by the Dean of Faculty of Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran, Dr. Insinyur Rahmat Hidayat SPT MSI IPM. After that, there will be lectures by our outstanding speakers. The first is by Professor Dr. Anuraga Jayanegara SPT MSc as the Director of Kajian Strategis dan Reputasi Akademik IPB University. After that, we have lectures by Dr. Vincent Nidekorn as scientist of National Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environmental, and also research habilitation at Universitas Clermont-Auvergne, France. And then we have lectures by Peter Danden as the Livestock Export Program Manager, MIN and Livestock Australia. And in the end of the lectures, there will be a discussion session. That is our agenda for today. Okay, as what I mentioned before, the next agenda is welcoming and opening remarks that will be delivered by the Dean of Faculty Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran. I welcome Dr. Rahmat Hidayat. The time and place is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukurillah la haula wala quwata illa billah wa kafa billahi syahidah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'da. Allahumma shalli wa sallim wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. First, I would like to thanks to Mr. Peter from MLA, and then Mr. Vincent Nidekorn from France, dan Pak Prof. Anuraga dari IPB ya. Kemudian Bapak Ibu, para wakil dekan yang saya hormati, para kepala departemen, para kepala kaprodi, kemudian para manajer, ketua kantor internasionalisasi, kemudian Kapusdi, para guru besar yang saya hormati, Bapak Ibu dosen, Bapak Ibu teknik, dan para mahasiswa yang saya banggakan. Kemudian yang paling saya hormati senior-senior kita. Di sini sudah hadir Pak Rohadi Tawaf, kemudian Prof. Rostita, kemudian mungkin yang ada yang di belakang, para Purna Bakti, dosen dan teknik Fakultas Peternakan yang saya hormati. Senang sekali hari ini kita bisa berkumpul dalam acara syukuran Natalis Fakultas Peternakan ke-60. Hari ini kita mengambil tema menggagas masa depan. Kenapa sih masa depan gitu ya? Karena memang waktu terus bergerak, waktu terus berjalan. Dan waktu itu hanya menuju ke masa depan. Bahkan 1 detik yang kita lalui barusan, itu tidak bisa kita ulangi lagi. Artinya kita akan terus bergerak ke masa depan. Nah, berkaitan dengan masa depan tersebut, saya ingin mensitil satu pendapat dari Ali bin Abi Thalib. Beliau mengatakan, janganlah kalian didik anak-anakmu seperti orang tuamu mendidik kalian gitu. Artinya di sini, apa yang kita berikan, layanan pendidikan ataupun pelajaran kepada anak-anak kita di masa sekarang, itu tidak boleh sama dengan, karena zaman yang akan dihadapi oleh anak-anak kita, terutama mahasiswa ya, dan anak-anak kita, itu akan berbeda dengan zaman yang kita hadapi sekarang. Oleh karena itu kita harus berpikir progresif, berpikir ke depan, bagaimana kita merancang sebuah layanan pendidikan yang bisa membekali anak-anak kita supaya bisa survive di masa yang akan datang. Intinya itu. Oleh karena itu, Fakultas Peternakan terus bertransformasi, menyesuaikan diri, baik itu substansi maupun sarana prasarananya, supaya bisa relevan dengan masa yang akan datang. Kita ketahui betapa banyak lapangan pekerjaan atau jenis pekerjaan yang dulu kita tidak tahu gitu. Yang dulu tidak pernah ada. Dan sekarang banyak sekali dan itulah masa depan anak-anak kita. Bapak dan Ibu yang saya hormati, barusan saya ada pertemuan dengan Direktorat Inovasi dan Korporasi, kemudian dengan Warek 3 mengenai BUMN Excellence Center. Nah, kita diharapkan bisa bekerja sama, bisa memberikan sumbangsih kepada BUMN yang ada di Indonesia itu untuk memberikan warna masukan bagaimana pengembangan BUMN ke depan sebagai penggerak perekonomian di Indonesia. Ini juga kaitannya dengan efisiensi. Dari 130-an BUMN, mungkin ke depan hanya akan ada 30 sampai 40 BUMN aja yang sifatnya holding company. Jadi yang bergerak di satu bidang dibikin satu holding. Nah, tidak terlepas juga di Indonesia ada salah satu BUMN yang alhamdulillah kita sudah bekerja sama, yaitu PT Berdikari. Kemudian ada juga PT Indico ya, anak perusahaan PT Telkom, dan kita sudah bekerja sama. Bapak dan Ibu yang saya hormati, Fakultas Peternakan terus berusaha mengembangkan sarana prasarana tidak hanya di dalam tetapi juga di luar, dengan harapan sarana yang ada di Fakultas Peternakan itu berorientasi ke masa depan. Nah, dalam waktu dekat kita akan melaksanakan, mewujudkan MOU kita dengan PT Indico untuk membangun sebuah smart farming di bidang kambing perah. Kurang lebih ada 500 ekor kambing perah yang akan dipelihara dengan sistem perkandangan dan tata laksana yang modern, yang sangat mengaplikasikan teknologi digital. Dan ini merupakan sebuah media pembelajaran bagi para mahasiswa, juga sebagai media untuk penelitian para dosen. Kemudian kita juga terus berusaha mengembangkan sumber daya manusia, baik dosen, tendik, maupun mahasiswa. Alhamdulillah, dalam 2 tahun terakhir ini kita sudah bisa meningkatkan status dosen yang tadinya PNS menjadi fungsional, kemudian yang fungsional asisten ahli menjadi lektor, kemudian yang lektor menjadi lektor kepala. Ini menjadi strategis buat kita, karena untuk penambahan guru besar itu kelihatannya sulit kalau dari lektor loncat ke lektor ke guru besar, tetapi kita harus mempunyai persediaan lektor kepala yang cukup banyak untuk ditingkatkan menjadi guru besar. Dan alhamdulillah kemarin sudah ada 9 ya lektor kepala yang naik dari lektor ke lektor kepala. Kemudian guru besar juga sudah ada penambahan, ada 3 orang dalam 2 tahun ini, dan diharapkan yang saat ini sedang mengajukan ke guru besar ada beberapa orang, ada Pak Iman, Pak Ahmad Firman, kemudian saya sendiri, bisa segera diproses untuk menjadi guru besar. Kemudian kita juga menambah dosen dari high quality talent, dari jalur high quality talent. Di antaranya ada Mas Diki, Mas Rizky ya. Terima kasih sudah bergabung. Dan saat ini juga diberi kesempatan untuk Fakultas Peternakan itu ada 7 formasi dosen sebagai ASN. 5 formasi di Fakultas Peternakan Jatinangor dan 2 di PSDKU. Nah, tapi yang high quality talent ini juga dipersilahkan untuk daftar jadi ASN ya. Jadi Mas Rizky, Mas Diki silahkan daftar. Walaupun hitung-hitungan kita menjadi berkurang gitu ya jatahnya. Jika lulus gitu ya. Jika lulus. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, kemudian pengembangan fakultas juga kita berkolaborasi dengan mitra. Dalam waktu dekat kemarin ya, 2 minggu yang lalu kita berkunjung ke Carun Pokpan, salah satu mitra kita yang cukup besar. Kita berdiskusi bagaimana orientasi industri perunggasan ke depan. Nah, ini kita harus nyambung dengan orientasi riset yang dilakukan di fakultas. Baik dosen, mahasiswa sarjana maupun mahasiswa pasca sarjana. Karena begitu besar tantangan riset dan hilirisasi di masyarakat. Jangan sampai apa yang kita lakukan di fakultas, di universitas, itu berbeda dengan kebutuhan masyarakat. Karena sesungguhnya riset yang kita lakukan itu harus menjawab tantangan atau masalah yang ada di masyarakat. Nah, dalam waktu dekat kita akan menghadirkan para petinggi dari Carun Pokpan untuk bisa berdiskusi dengan kita bagaimana sih sebetulnya riset-riset yang diharapkan oleh masyarakat, oleh industri, sehingga apa yang kita lakukan bisa nyambung dengan tantangan-tantangan yang ada di masyarakat. Bapak dan Ibu yang saya hormati, Fakultas Peternakan juga terus berusaha meraih prestasi, baik itu prestasi kelembagaan dari fakultas, kemudian prestasi individu, baik itu dosen, teknik maupun mahasiswa. Mungkin nanti akan kita sampaikan beberapa dosen yang berprestasi di bidang akademik, kemudian para teknik di bidang layanan, dan para mahasiswa yang menyumbangkan prestasi-prestasi nasional. Bapak dan Ibu yang saya hormati, ada satu hal yang saya pikir menjadi tantangan kita ke depan, yaitu pengembangan kurikulum. Nah, pengembangan kurikulum akan kita jawab, mungkin Bu Wadek akan kita laksanakan lokakarya ya, paling cepat bulan Februari 2024. Kita ingin mengintegrasikan antara bidang industri dengan kurikulum di Fakultas Peternakan. Bagaimana kita membuat sebuah kurikulum yang terintegrasi antara teknologi industri modern dengan Fakultas Peternakan. Mungkin hasil dari lokakarya tersebut akan kita bawa ke Senat Fakultas untuk bisa diresmikan dan tidak menutup kemungkinan adanya perubahan nama fakultas yang berorientasi kepada teknologi dan industri peternakan. Mungkin di lokakarya yang akan datang diharapkan masukan dari Bapak dan Ibu untuk memberikan sumbangsih pemikiran bagaimana sih sebetulnya kita membangun Fakultas Peternakan di masa yang akan datang supaya betul-betul menggambarkan sebuah industri modern sebagai sumber energi bagi masyarakat. Karena sesungguhnya produk-produk peternakan itu adalah sumber energi bagi manusia itu sendiri. Nah, bagaimana kita bisa menghasilkan sebuah sistem, sebuah model atau industri yang bisa menghasilkan protein hewani sebagai sumber energi bagi masyarakat. Bapak dan Ibu yang saya hormati, saat ini juga kita sedang melaksanakan akreditasi internasional. Ada 3 program studi yang sedang kita ajukan, kemudian dokumennya sudah kita kirim ke ASIIN ya. Kemudian kita sudah 3 kali revisi ya, Bu Adek ya, 3 kali revisi. Dan insya Allah tahun depan kita akan divisitasi untuk akreditasi internasional. Mohon doa restu dari Bapak dan Ibu, mudah-mudahan proses akreditasi Fakultas Peternakan bisa berjalan dengan lancar dan kita mendapatkan status akreditasi internasional. Nah, jika akreditasi internasional ini sudah kita dapatkan, maka kita bisa membuat kelas internasional. Sehingga Fakultas Peternakan akan bisa lebih direkognisi, baik itu di tingkat regional maupun di tingkat internasional. Nah, untuk mendukung ke arah situ, kita akan membiasakan diri menghadirkan narasumber dari luar. Hari ini sudah hadir Mr. Peter dan Mr. Vincent ya. Mr. Vincent Peter dari Australia, dari MLA, kemudian Mr. Vincent dari Prancis sebagai Research Collaboration Network kita. Mudah-mudahan pada hari ini kita bisa mendapatkan insight tentang bagaimana sih sebetulnya riset atau pengembangan peternakan. Karena tadi saya ngobrol-ngobrol sedikit, tantangannya relatif sama, yaitu ketersediaan protein yang berkualitas, kemudian dengan harga terjangkau, dengan perubahan iklim secara global, di mana-mana terjadi kenaikan suhu. Sementara di Indonesia yang namanya sapi perah itu sangat sensitif terhadap kenaikan suhu. Saat ini Indonesia masih mengimpor 80% susu dan produk susu. Nah, untuk bisa menjadi negara yang mandiri untuk produksi pangan mungkin dibutuhkan terobosan-terobosan yang luar biasa dari kita semua, sehingga didapatkan model bisnis atau teknologi yang bisa menjawab tantangan-tantangan di masa yang akan datang. Kemudian saya di sini hadir juga Prof. Maman Faturrahman. Terima kasih Prof. Maman atas kehadirannya. Kemudian Prof. Ana juga yang baru datang. Mungkin di belakang ada juga senior-senior kita. Ada Prof. Rostita. Kemudian mungkin nanti akan datang lagi senior-senior kita di acara pada hari ini. Terima kasih atas kehadiran Bapak dan Ibu. Mudah-mudahan apa yang kita cita-citakan bisa terwujud dengan sebaik-baiknya. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Rahmat, for the opening speech and messages.
Terima kasih kepada Dr. Rahmat atas sambutannya.
Next agenda is a lecture from speakers. Our first speaker is Profesor Dr. Anuraga Jaya Negara, SPT, MSc, MPD. Start from 2021. Until now, he is a professor at Bogor Agriculture University, Indonesia. He is a lot of achievement. So one of them are Best Lecture Award of Publication Performance, IPB Awarding Night 2022. So Profesor Dr. Anuraga Jaya Negara, please gather in the middle of the stage.
Agenda selanjutnya adalah pematerian yang akan disampaikan oleh Prof. Dr. Anuraga Jaya Negara. Beliau merupakan guru besar di Institut Pertanian Bogor, Indonesia. Segudang prestasi juga telah diraihnya, salah satunya adalah penghargaan dosen terbaik dalam kinerja publikasi, Malam Anugerah IPB 2022. Kepada Dr. Anuraga Jaya Negara, kami silakan untuk ke depan.
Our next speaker is Peter Dandon. He is Livestock Export Program Manager, Meat and Livestock Australia. Peter Dandon managed the Livestock Export Program for Meat and Livestock Australia. He is returned to Australia in 2012 after working in the Middle East of 7 years. Peter work in Australia now revolves around managing MLA's market activities through 4 bases in MLA hubs in Sydney, Dubai, Vietnam, and Jakarta. For Peter Danden, please gather in the middle of the stage.
Pemateri kedua kita adalah Dr. Peter Danden. Beliau merupakan manajer program ekspor ternak daging dan peternakan Australia. Dr. Peter Danden mengelola program ekspor ternak untuk daging dan ternak Australia yang biasa kita kenal dengan MLA. Ia kembali ke Australia pada tahun 2012 setelah bekerja di Timur Tengah selama 7 tahun. Pekerjaan Peter di Australia kini berkisar pada pengelolaan aktivitas dalam pasar MLA melalui 4 basis yang dimiliki MLA pada negara Sydney, Dubai, Vietnam, dan Jakarta.
And our last incredible speaker is Dr. Vincent Nidekorn. He is an assistant team leader and he is a research scientist. Some of his international research projects are European Research Program Live Me Chilifoid, European Research Project Irenet Core Organic Pro Young Stock, European Research Project Marie Curie Legume Plus, and many more. For Dr. Vincent Nidekorn, please gather in the middle of the stage.
Baik, selanjutnya adalah pemateri kita yang terakhir, yaitu Dr. Vincent Nidekorn. Beliau merupakan asisten ketua tim dan juga merupakan seorang ilmuwan peneliti. Beliau memiliki beberapa proyek penelitian internasional, di antaranya adalah proyek penelitian Eropa Live Miclifid, proyek penelitian Eropa Irenet Core Organic Pro Young Stock, and proyek penelitian Eropa Marie Curie Legume Plus, dan masih banyak lainnya.
After this session will be led by our moderator for today. I will introduce our moderator, Dr. Endang Yuni Setiawati, MSc AG. She is a lecturer of Animal Production Department, Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. She also have a few research. Several of them are essential trace element in meat, spleen, and liver of Brahman cross treated in intensive production system in Bandung, Indonesia, and the effect of gamma aminobutyric acid and ascorbic acid on belly cattle physiology during transport.
Selanjutnya, acara kita selanjutnya akan dipimpin oleh Ibu Dr. Dr. Endang Yuni Setiawati, MSc AG. Beliau merupakan seorang dosen dari Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran yang juga memiliki beberapa publikasi. Pada tahun 2018, beliau memiliki publikasi dengan judul Essential Trace Elements in Meat, Spleen, and Liver of Brahman Cross Steers Reared in Intensive Production System in Bandung, Indonesia. Lalu juga pada 2019, beliau memiliki publikasi dengan judul The Effect of Gamma Aminobutyric Acid and Ascorbic Acid on Belly Cattle Psychology During Transport. Kepada Dr. Endang, kami silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, sebagaimana telah disampaikan oleh moderator MC tadi, berada bersama kita di sini pakar-pakar di bidang animal science dan juga dari Direktur Kajian Strategi IPB University, Prof. Anuraga, Dr. Vincent, Dr. Peter Danden. Good morning all. Oke, secara berturut-turut nanti Prof. Anuraga, Dr. Vincent, dan Dr. Peter Danden akan memberikan pengalaman-pengalamannya, apa saja yang telah dilakukan di lapangan berkaitan dengan kepakarannya. Yeah. I talk to the audience that you will be present everything about your study, your research, and your everything that you already done in your field of study. Dr. Prof. Anugraga, as a Director of Academic Strategy in IPB University, will give a presentation about what we have to do as a faculty to be to develop the faculty, and also you, Dr. Vincent, will share the what you already do in your research study, and you, Peter Dandan, will share your research, your study in the feedlot center. Yeah. Okay. In the first session, I will ask to you, Dr. Vincent, to share your research strategy in animal science. Please, Dr. Vincent.
So, selamat pagi, bonjour. I'm afraid I need to speak in English because I'm very limited in Indonesian. But I would like to thank you to invite me for this presentation. I'm very honored to be in your university, and also Dr. Anugraga for my IPB to invite me also. I'm very happy to share, to present my institute, my research unit, and part of my work. So I'm Vincent Niederkorn. The next, please. I would like to just to give you some words from my institute. This institute is INRAE. INRAE is for National Institute of Research in Agronomy and Environment. The mission of this institute is to produce shared scientific knowledge to contribute to solve the major challenges in Europe, but also in the world concerning different topics, the agriculture sciences, plant sciences, food sciences, and also the problem of environment. The mission of INRAE is to build on the research, but also to build in the research to produce some innovation, and also to provide some expertise at different level, because INRAE lends support public policy makers at international, European, and national level. Some, for example, the FAO in Rome. As you can see, INRAE is implanted in different regions of France. We have about 15 research centers, and in all we have about 11,000 people working at INRAE, about 3,000 researchers, 3,000 engineers, also technicians, the same. And we have each year about 2,000 PhD students. As you can see, we have quite large international scientific cooperations. Mainly, this graph is in terms of co-publications. As you can see, the co-publications are mainly with North America, the USA, but also Brazil, China, Australia. And there is place to improve the co-publication and the collaboration with Africa, but also, as you can see, with Indonesia. We have already some co-publications, but I think we can increase this collaboration with Indonesia. So now my research unit is this is the herbivore research unit. It is located near Clermont-Ferrand in central France. As you can see, it's also volcano area like in Indonesia, but I think they are more impressive in Indonesia than in France. And as you can see below, we have some beautiful animals like this cattle, and also small ruminant like sheep. So the scientific domains of the research unit is mainly ruminant nutrition and fish efficiency. For this topic, we carry out studies aiming at characterizing the determinants of efficiency at the animal, at the farm, and also at the system level. Another scientific domain is the adaptive capacity of robustness of animals, because it's also important to have animals well adapted to our systems. So we carry out study on the determinants of the robustness, also the trade-off between the functions, for example, the growth, the reproduction, or milk production. There are some trade-offs. We can have some study on this. Also some levels to improve the animal welfare. Another scientific domain is the product quality. This domain is to build, to evaluate, and also to predict the sensory and the nutritional qualities of the animal products, meat, milk, and cheese, because cheese in France is very important production. And for that, we have studies on extrinsic and extrinsic determinants. And also we try to produce biomarkers, the quality. The other topic is the environmental impact and services due to livestock. It increases in importance in our country. We have a large program to characterize and evaluate the ecosystem services provided by the livestock production, but also the D-services. That means also the reduction of greenhouse gases and nitrogen protein waste. So we have access, our research unit has access to two experimental sites. The first experimental site is in Inte. We have 250 hectares and 1,000 animals with sheep, beef, dairy cattle. And for this site, we focus on analytical studies on animals. That means in very controlled conditions to study the physiology, the response of the animal in very controlled conditions. And we have another site in Marcena. It's 400 hectares and 200 dairy cattle. It's more for studying at the system level. To carry out, to analyze our results, to carry out our experiments, we have access to different facilities, in vitro platforms and laboratories. First, we have a lab to determine classical nutritive value of the feedstuff. We have a lab to analyze nutrients and metabolites, such as fatty acids, vitamins, metabolites. We analyze these kind of molecules in different matrices, for example, the feeds, but also in milk, but also in the blood, to well understand what happens in the animal. We have also in vitro equipments to do cell culture and also to study in very controlled conditions the rumen fermentation. We have equipment to measure the methane emissions, but in vivo, I think it's very important. Its facilities, it's not easy because it's big equipment. Ask many expertise to analyze the methane emissions in vivo, but I think it's important. We use three different techniques. The SF6 technique method. It's possible to use this technique at grazing for grazing animals. We have the reference method is the respiratory chambers, And we have another system, is a green feed system. And for this system, it's possible to analyze the methane emission for several animals in the same time. And we have also facilities to analyze the animal behavior for the welfare, for animal welfare. So now I would like to share a little bit my own research. My topic is to the use of diversified feeding resources for the ruminant productivity and also to reduce the impact on the environment. And the objective of this work is to identify combination of forages or resources to optimize the ruminant nutrition, but in different dimensions. Value, and it's linked with the productivity, the profitability. For that, we analyze the mechanism of interaction between the plants or resources on intake and digestive processes. And the other dimension in the environmental impact, and we focus on the methane emissions and the protein, the nitrogen excretions. That means to avoid the nitrogen losses. And to work together, I think it's very important because it's a key for efficiency of because if you reduce the methane emission is a loss of energy, and nitrogen excretion, it's a loss of protein. If you can reduce both, you gain for the productivity and you gain for the environment. For this, we use two approaches. One approach is in vitro approach. For that, we use we try to mimic the rumen digestion. I think it's a key compartment for the digestion of rumen. So in this rumen that the methane is produced, so we use fermenters, like you can see on the left, and it's very useful for screening. For screening our resource is to analyze a large number of solutions of plants or plant extract or molecules. We can analyze a large number of type of resources in the same time. And it's also to elucidate some mode of actions. For example, if you have a molecule able to reduce the methane emission, we can analyze very finally. You can also look at the microbiology in very controlled conditions. It's the solutions to understand what happened. And the complementary approach is the in vivo approach, because we need to validate the observation we have in vitro. And it's also crucial to have the access to the whole animal response. That means the eating behavior, the digestion at the whole animal level, the performances, but we also can to have access at the product quality, because in our research center we have also an experimental slaughtering house. So now I would like to show you an example of my research. The topic of this program is part of a large European project named Legume Plus. It was interdisciplinary research with chemists from expert from biochemistry, with parasitologists, with animal nutritionists. So it's just a part of this program. And the goal was to test the inclusion of bioactive legumes in grass silage to improve productivity and to reduce the pollutant emission. So to start, we choose two models of bioactive legumes. First one is temperate legumes. The first one is the sainfoin on the left. And these legumes contain condensed tannins. Condensed tannins are able to bind the protein, to complex them. And when there is a complex with the protein, you reduce the access to plant and microbial proteases, and you can protect the protein integrity and then to reduce the nitrogen losses. The second model of bioactive legume is red clover. Red clover is a legume containing an enzyme, a specific enzyme, the polyphenol oxidase. Polyphenol oxidase is an enzyme able to oxidize the phenol into quinone, and the complex, these molecules are also highly reactive with the protein to form complex, and we can expect the same effect compared with the condensed tannins. So our hypothesis, if these molecules are able to protect the protein, maybe we can improve the silage quality. To increase the lactic fermentation and to reduce the degradation in the silo. The second effect could be also in the rumen. Maybe if we protect the protein in the rumen, we can have less N losses in the urine, but also you can improve the nitrogen use efficiency. And then also hypothesis to test, it's also to reduce the methane emissions. In these experiments, we also measure the performance of the animal in vivo in growing lengths. So the experimental design, we start to analyze the silage quality in micro scale silo like this, and you can see on the right, and we try to analyze the pure Timothy. It's a grass, and after we try to compare with the legumes, a mixture of grass and legume. So Timothy, it's T, it's the control. SF is the same point. Red clover is RC. We made silages in impure, and we had also a mixture of Timothy at same point, 50-50. A mixture of Timothy and red clover, 50-50, and a mixture of Timothy, sainfoin, and red clover. And then we assess the silage quality through the fermentation and the protein degradation. Now the results. First, the acidification. On the graph on the left, you can see the bar in grid. It's just Timothy. That means without bioactive legumes. The pH was higher than for the other silage. That means that all silages, including sainfoin or red clover, had a pH around 4.5 as requested for good silage quality. When we look at the lactic acid content, it's also an indicator of the quality of the acidification in the silo. You can see also we have a better lactic acid production when sainfoin or red clover were included in the silage. So the result of to resume these results, you can see that the bioactive legumes are able to produce a better acidification compared to the grass alone. Now the protein protection in the silo, on the graph on the left, you can see the soluble nitrogen. It's an indicator also of the degradation. And the other graph is the ammonia. It's the end product of the nitrogen degradation. And you can see again the protein were less degraded when the bioactive legumes were included compared to the Timothy. So for silage is good. Now, what happens in vivo? We perform large experiments in vivo. We made again five silo, but 5 big silo with pure Timothy, the mixture Timothy sainfoin, the mixture Timothy red clover, and two other mixture Timothy sainfoin red clover and sainfoin red clover. We divided the silo in two. one for digestion trial in controlled conditions, and one to analyze the performances of animals. So the first experiment, the digestion trial, maybe there is some, yeah, thank you. You can see the results for first for the in vivo digested trial, the organic matter digestibility. What we can see is the inclusion of Sainfoin reduces the organic matter digestibility compared to pure Timothy, but with red clover it was similar. On the graph on the right, that is a nitrogen balance. The nitrogen balance is to analyze what happened about protein after intake. After intake, animal can use the protein, and the nitrogen losses can be in the urine or in the feces. And you can see with when we included the Sainfoin in the mixture, we have a pattern of nitrogen expression totally different. It's more directed towards feces and less towards urine. That means that the condensed tannins from the Sainfoin are able to well protect the protein in the rumen, but also in the compartment, the post-rumen compartment. Then the methane emission, we can see again we have less methane emissions when we include the Sainfoin in comparison to the pure grass. But for the mixture containing the red clover, it was similar. Now the in vivo performance trial. On the graph on the left, you can see the silage intake. What we can see is all silages containing red clover were better ingested compared to the silage with pure Timothy or silage containing Sainfoin. And we can see also on the graph on the right, all the silages containing red clover were contain a better growth and Timothy. So these differences were reflected also in carcass weight. We had the same results. When we include the red clover, we have better performance. So to resume with all these results, the message is when you use bioactive legumes such as Sainfoin or red clover, you decrease the protein degradation, you increase the silage acidification, and you have a silage of good quality, better quality. But what is interesting is not the same for all the bioactive legumes. We can have very different services provided by these legumes. For the red clover, you have good agronomic performances, you have a better animal growth, you have a better carcass weight. But for the environment, it's not better. For the Sainfoin, it's the contrary. You reduce the methane emissions, you reduce the urinary nitrogen, but the productivity is a little bit less. So it's difficult to have everything in the same time. That is interesting for that to explore, to mix the bioactive legume to try to optimize these effects.
Five more minutes, please.
Doesn't work? Yeah, thank you. So for this experiment, I have time for a little bit more.
Yeah, 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to accelerate. Also, it was just bioactive legumes models of bioactive legumes. We try to find other bioactive plants. In Massif Central, in my region, we have permanent grassland with a broad plant biodiversity. So we try to find also plants from this biodiversity containing secondary metabolites able to manipulate the remain fermentation. So we did experiments to identify bioactive candidate plates for the potential incorporation in the mixture or for use of as a plant extracts. For that, we screen a large number of plants using an in vitro human fermentation assay to discriminate the plants on digestibility and their potential to reduce the methane production and the protein degradation in the rumen. Yeah, we can go directly. So we use just a second to say we had a set of 156 plants from these grasslands. We have harvested this plant at a vegetative stage, and after we frozen in the liquid nitrogen and we freeze dry them. It's very important because if we don't use this kind of conservation, you can lose the bioactive compounds. And after we use this set of plants to do in vitro human fermentation, as I explained before. The results for each point is a plant. PRG is control, it's ryegrass. You can see on the y-axis, it's methane production in the fermenters. On the x-axis is degradability, digestibility. What we observe for 34 plants, we produce 30% less methane compared to the ryegrass. 13 plants produce 50% less methane, and for 2 plants, we produce 80% less methane. That is the point below. You can see one is on the left. That means it produces less methane, but it's not well degraded. But we have another plant with a red cycle. It decreases a lot the methane emission and it's well digested. It probably means that these plants contain bioactive components able to decrease the methane production. Same for ammonia concentration. You remember it's an indicator of protein degradations. We have about 50%, 37 plants decreasing this indicator by 50%, 23 plants decreasing by 80%, and for some plants it's around 0. So again, probably there are some bioactive compounds, probably such as tannins in this kind of plants. So I think I can accelerate. Just a word to say, okay, I talk about the degradability, the profitability, the methane emission, the protein degradation, but some bioactive compounds are not only helpful for improve the silage quality and to reduce the pollutant emissions. We have also potential effects on animal health and product quality, especially for parasitism, to fight against the parasitism. It is a big problem at least in temperate regions, but also to improve the quality of products such as meat, for example, by increasing the level of unsaturated acids. As I said before, I think we are not expert in all the scientific domains. It's impossible to be an expert in all. So we need to have a lot of interdisciplinarity to work with chemists, with animal parasitologists, with plant breeders, and all the experts working on the same object. here the bioactive compound. So just a word to talk about the opportunity offered by a collaboration between our institute and Indonesian researchers. I think we share the same objective. We need to have a modern and good ruminant production systems, but also more sustainable, because it's a global problem. We only have one Earth, and one atmosphere, the same. So we share this objective in terms of efficiency and reduction of greenhouse emissions. And I think we have opportunity to share our knowledge, expertise on bioactive plants with Dr. Anugara. We have the same expertise, but it is very interesting because I think he has the expertise on the tropical resources. I have the expertise on temperate resources. So I think we have something to do together. Just a word on our collaboration we initiate. I would like to talk about the PhD program. PhD program is a support from the French government for the scientific exchange between two countries. So there are many PhD programs with almost all the countries from Europe, but also with different countries in the world, including Indonesia. And with Indonesia, the PhD is named PhD Nusantara program. Just a word to explain the system. At the beginning, we have to produce a proposal, a common proposal in France and Indonesia. And there is an evaluation of the proposal in the two countries in parallel. In Indonesia, with BOPTN research program, and also the same mobility. And on the side of France, there is an evaluation via Campus France. And at the end, the selected program there is a joint evaluation, and after a decision. Just to give you an overview of this kind of program, one possibility to collaborate in the future. Terima kasih.
Oke, Ibu Bapak sekalian, yang telah disampaikan oleh Dr. Vincent tadi sebetulnya sudah dilakukan oleh kita semua di sini ya, mulai dari pengujian in vitro, in vivo, ya. Kemudian kalau tadi dilihat sampai ke efeknya terhadap lingkungan. Ini sesuai tentunya dengan misi Fakultas Peternakan, industri peternakan yang ramah lingkungan. Seperti itu. Tampaknya memang kolaborasi antar laboratorium, departemen ini diperlukan ya. Kalau tadi diperlihatkan mulai dari in vitronya sampai ke emisi karbonnya ya, itu diperhatikan. Dan yang saya tahu nanti SDGs itu tidak lagi SDGs tapi menjadi Sustainable Energy Goals setelah 2025. Jadi ini kajian yang sangat baik ya, alhamdulillah ada Prof Yuli ini di bidang lingkungan ya. Jadi penelitian-penelitian yang sudah banyak dilakukan Bapak Ibu di kajian tanaman herbal yang sudah banyak dilakukan nanti diteruskan sampai ke produksinya, ke kesehatannya, sampai ke fungsinya untuk menekan emisi karbon. Ini tampaknya apa yang dilakukan di luar negeri sana juga sebetulnya sudah kita lakukan, Pak Dekan ya. Nanti tinggal kita semua bergerak bersama. Jadi we are nothing without other ya, begitu ya. Jadi I say to the audience that the research that you already done, it's actually already done by the lecture here. Yeah, we already identified the local plant in Indonesia, identified whereas they have a nutrition effect and also health effect to the animal. And now we have to work together between lectures in nutrition division, production, and also in technology. So we can increase the production of animal, and also we can make our environment more healthy, zero waste. That's one that I say to the authors. Okay, next time, please, Dr. Peter, he will share his experience in cattle export.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today. I very much enjoyed the national anthem at the start. So everyone sings, which is fantastic. So what I'm going to speak to you about today is the future of the beef industry and the future opportunities in the beef industry. So who's eaten beef this week? Has anyone eaten beef this week? Anyone? No one's eaten beef. Does anyone understand me? I know I'm hard to understand. I'm sorry that I don't speak Indonesia Bahasa, but Assalamu alaikum. So I had beef casserole for breakfast this morning, beef and potato stew. And I was looking at my beef on my plate this morning, and I was thinking about how it got there, all the things that had to happen for that beef stew to be on my plate this morning for breakfast. And so what I thought I'd do was just talk to you about some of the things that we do in Australia, and perhaps, if you're interested, and perhaps some of the lessons that that you can take from what we do in Australia. So just to put things in perspective, Australia is 4 times the size of Indonesia. Is on? Is that better? Okay. Australia has 4 times the landmass of Indonesia, so it's 4 times as big, but we only have 1/10 of the population. So population of Australia, 28 million, 28 million. Population of Indonesia, 280 million. So you have a lot more people. So in Australia, it's a very big country, and it has very different environment from the north to the south. The north is tropical, the south is temperate. So we have to be adapt the cattle that we put into those areas to produce beef. Australia exports 60% of its beef production. So we're a big exporter of beef. We eat 19 kilograms per capita. We're the 4th largest consumer of beef per capita in the world. And the global average is about 6 kilograms. Australia has 1.5% of the global cattle herd, but it produces 3% of the world's beef. And we export 12% of global beef exports. Yes, so we produce 2.5 million tons of beef each year. The positive thing is that global beef production is increasing by 1% each year. So more and more people are eating beef, which presents lots of opportunities for us. We export to more than 100 countries around the world. So the other countries that are exporting more beef than Australia are Brazil, India, and the US. They're ahead of us, the United States. We have 40,000 beef producers in Australia. And we also have a feedlot industry with 1.5 million head capacity in feedlots. But 96% of our cattle are run on pasture, nearly all on pasture. There's only about 1.2 million head that are in feedlots. So with that context, just to paint that context of where we're coming from, we export about last year in 2022, we exported 340,000 cattle to Indonesia. So lots of Australian cattle coming on ship to Indonesia, and they all go into feedlots. So that's a big market for Australian cattle, and a really important market for our northern beef producers. So in Australia, the northern beef industry is very big. So the average cattle farm in Australia is 15,000 hectares. 15,000 hectares. And the average age of a beef producer is 65. So I'm 59. So they're 6 years older than me, the average age. So this is just painting a bit of a picture of our beef industry and the people that are in it. So what are the important things for us, and where do we see the future? So our northern cattle stations, some of them are like 1 million hectares. Some of our cattle properties, some of our cattle farms are bigger than some countries. And so what we do in the tropical parts of Australia, we put those Bos Indicus cattle up there, Brahmins, because they're suited to those northern environment. In the south, in the temperate areas, we run Angus and Hereford and other British breeds, Bos Taurus breeds. And so what we've done in Australia, we've focused on some key things that improve our efficiency and our cost of production. So breeding and genetics. So where are all you going to go when you finish your university? You know, what jobs are you going to get? The main jobs that we find that we employ animal science graduates from different universities, University of New England in Australia. The main areas that we're employing them in are breeding and genetics, feeding and nutrition, animal health. So we've got Helen and Abby, one of your graduates from this university is here today. Abby, stand up. He's here 10 years ago, so he's very old now. So we employ Abby, and he works in our program providing services to Indonesian industry. So the other areas that we have to have areas are extension and adoption and research and development. So what is MLA? Okay. The company that we work for.
Enggak.
Australia. Okay, it's tricky.
Aku mah enggak. Ya aku mah enggak ada suaranya doang. Iya mah. Iya. Enggak ada.
Meat and Livestock Australia, we're a service organisation. So we do research and development, and we do marketing. So we've got offices around the world. We've got an office in Jakarta here in Indonesia. We've got offices in London, Washington, Beijing, Singapore, and Korea, Japan. And what those people in those offices do, they're promoting Australian beef. So the future for Australian beef is really a lot, because we're such a big exporter of beef. The future for us is around market access. We don't have enough people in Australia to eat all the beef that we produce. So a really important part of what we do is marketing and making sure that we have market access to different markets. The other things that wrap around all the core elements of breeding, feeding, animal health and welfare are the sustainability elements of the beef industry. So in Australia, there's a big emphasis on animal welfare and sustainability. So we spend a lot of time in Indonesia trying to assure the welfare of the cattle that we export to Indonesia. That's what Helen does and Abby. They're working hard to make sure that we assure the welfare of those cattle that come here, because we've got a lot of people in Australia that would like to see the industry closed because they don't believe that we're taking care of the animals. Anyway, I think that's all in terms of in terms of collaboration between MLA and the university, we're always open to having people come and do work experience with us and work within the trade that we're doing to Indonesia, the live export trade, and we're always open to research and development projects if anyone's got any ideas. So that's all I had to say today. Very short and sharp, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, let me make a summarize first. Okay. Oke, Ibu Bapak sekalian yang saya hormati, tadi Dr. Peter Danden menyampaikan kondisi populasi sapi yang ada di Australia. Jadi populasi sapi di Australia memang sangat berlimpah dibandingkan populasinya yang 28 juta, itu sapinya lebih banyak. Dan sebagian besar dipelihara secara ekstensif di pastura. Kemudian produser sapi ini juga sangat banyak, di sana 40.000 dengan target pemasaran yang sudah sangat mendunia, bukan hanya ke negara terdekat Indonesia, tapi juga sampai ke Amerika, Uni Emirat Arab, ya, dan itu bukan hanya sapi, tapi dombanya juga. Jadi peluang yang sangat baik. Peluang bagi para lulusan dari Fakultas Peternakan ini, work experience tadi disampaikan untuk di feedlot yang ada di sana. Jadi bukan hanya pada student saja, tapi juga riset-riset bisa dikerjasamakan dengan MLA ini. Kemudian hal penting lainnya yang sekarang ini mulai dikembangkan oleh MLA adalah mengenai animal welfare. Dan ini pelatihan-pelatihan mengenai animal welfare ini sudah mulai dilaksanakan, sepertinya juga sudah menjadi istilahnya apa SKKNI-nya ya, bahwa ada pelatihan untuk animal welfare officer. Dan saya sempat ikut Bu Helen. Mudah-mudahan banyak juga dari Ibu Bapak dan mahasiswa yang ada di sini untuk mengikuti pelatihan itu, karena terbuka untuk seluruh, bisa mahasiswa juga ya Bu Helen ya. Dan bila mendapatkan sertifikat ini, tentunya menjadi harga tinggi untuk lulusannya untuk ikut mendapatkan pekerjaan di MLA. Jadi bukan hanya pekerjaan tampaknya, tapi peluang untuk mendapatkan pengalaman yang sangat berharga yang nantinya bisa diterapkan di Indonesia. Oke, next speaker is Prof. Anuraga. Oke, Prof. Anuraga akan menyampaikan insight-nya tentang pengembangan institusi ya, Prof. Ya, silakan.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chairwoman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Animal Science, Padjadjaran University, Vice Dean of Animal Science, Head of Departments, as well as all the professors here and academic staffs, all the students here, from undergraduate, postgraduate students. It's really a great pleasure for me to deliver a certain topic. Actually, I'm not the real speaker, actually. Yeah? Actually, I'm accompanying Vincent to come here. Yeah? So thank you very much, Vincent, for your coming to Indonesia, to IPB University, as well as to Padjadjaran University. So within this occasion, I'm going to deliver a topic on, wait a minute. I'm going to deliver a topic, let's say an overview concerning the frontier in animal nutrition and feed science research. Yeah. So some of them are according to our results, but some of them are taken from the literatures. Okay, so as Vincent said before, that nowadays we are not only concentrating on productivity. So we consider at the moment also the whole aspect related to animal nutrition, like the environment. We think about methane emission, for example. We think also about nitrous oxide emission. We think also about the quality of animal products, how to consume a health promoting animal products, not only enhancing the cholesterol level of us, yeah, but we try to consume products which are promoting the health for human. Another issue is regarding the animal health, yeah, like parasitism, different fauna and microbes that are making the intestine of the animals not optimized. Okay, next slide. So for example, regarding the methanogenesis, as we know, also from the presentation of Vincent, nowadays methane emission has become one of the major concerns with regard to animal production, especially the ruminant. Yeah. It is actually the normal process occurring in the rumen. Yeah. But somehow we try, or we can optimize, we can reduce at this at the certain level without hampering the productivity. That's the goal. Yeah. If we reduce the methane, but it has a negative effect much on the productivity, then it is less efficient. What we search now is to enhance the productivity and simultaneously to reduce the emission. Other issue, next slide, please, is regarding the position of health promoting, let's say, fatty acids, long chain fatty acids, like polyunsaturated fatty acids in the animal products, in milk, in meat. Yeah? And one of the cause of this process is the biohydrogenation. So more than 90% of the polyunsaturated fatty acids entering the rumen is hydrogenated by a number of microbes. You know? A number of microbes that are responsible for the hydrogenation or the saturation of the polyunsaturated fatty acids. And we try to decelerate, if it's possible, is to stop, yeah, but it is not normally not possible, but at least to decelerate or to reduce the extent of biohydrogenation in order to have higher accumulation of polyunsaturated fatty acids like CLA or conjugated linoleic acid, cis9 trans 11 C18-2 in the animal products. Next slide. So the other thing that we need to consider in Indonesia is the advanced feeding system. So far, if we look at the monogastric poultry industry, they already adapt to the current feeding system. They use for making ration, for promoting the ration, the metabolizable energy for the energy. And the protein, they use the digestible amino acid. Although they rely on the database provided by the niche producer, yeah, or other company. But at least they already use the current feeding system for the poultry industry. But when we look at the animals, the ruminants, our ration formulation system is still based on the old system. The energy is based on TDN, total digestible nutrient, and then the protein is based on the crude protein, which is already obsolete. Yeah. And when we look at the NRC standard, when we look at the INRAE standard from France, look at the GSIRO standard from the Australia, they already use the advanced feeding system. Right? At least we need to use, let's say, digestible energy, or if possible is metabolizable energy, or even net energy. And for the protein system, we may use the, let's say, the metabolizable protein. or in INRA, it is called PDI, protein digestible in the small intestine, right? But I heard yesterday that INRA has now developed a more complicated and more sophisticated, of course, more precise the protein system. For example, one of the basic thing is regarding the digestion kinetics of the protein. So we are really lacking of this data. Yeah, in many universities, many research institutes across Indonesia, we still have limited data on rumen degradable protein, rumen undegradable protein, which are essential for estimating the metabolizable protein, the protein that can be digested and absorbed in the small intestine. Next slide. For example, we perform a modeling. Yeah, how much is actually the better ratio between the degradable and undegradable protein? Actually, when based on our experience, the ruminant ration in Indonesia is really high in degradable protein. And when we look at the proportion of degradable protein to the metabolizable protein, to the really utilized protein, is actually when we have high degradable protein, the percentage of the protein to the total protein or the crude protein is low. So we need to shift to the left in order to enhance the undegradable protein. Sorry, might be this is already too much for undergraduate student. Yeah, I think this will be very interesting, hopefully, yeah, for the lecturers. Yeah, I heard before that this lecture is for the academic staff, but fortunately, we have so many undergraduate students here. Next slide. Therefore, apparently, we need to establish our own nutrient requirement, at least the simple one. We normally use the US standard, the NRC standard. We don't even use or at least know other standards like the French standard, the UK standard, the Australia standard, because what we teach in the class is the US standard, the NRC. So somehow we need to introduce some other standards and try to develop through collaboration our own feeding standard, at least the simple one. What we have done, we employed the free method to analyze or to determine how much is dry matter requirement, the dry matter intake requirement, the protein requirement, and the energy requirement of animals in Indonesia. We did already one study. Next slide, please. For example, in sheep, yeah, this is the only one so far for one livestock in Indonesia that we have performed the estimation of the nutrient requirement. Actually, still a number of other species are important, but still we don't have so much energy to do that. And this is open for our collaboration. For example, we determine this by using this equation. And this is a simple equation, really simple. But then we need to consider the variation among different studies. So we integrate, I think, about 40 or 50 different experiments across Indonesia that use the local sheep. And then we try to determine how much is the energy for maintenance in the form of TDN, total digestible nutrient intake. How much is the maintenance level, and how much for the productivity or the and we already published this one. This is for energy. And next slide, please. Next slide is for the protein. And we found there was interactions. So it means that each breed of sheep in Indonesia has its own nutrient requirement. This is common. This is normal, right? And we already published this. And one of the testimony from a sheep producer around Bogor, they prefer now to use this standard instead of using the US or the NRC standard, because it is more representative as compared to the US standard. Of course, the sheep are located in Indonesia. Yeah, I mean, all the experiments that we took for our database is originated, all of them from Indonesia. Next, please. And nowadays we are really, we should integrate our understanding with more basic science, what is now developing in, for example, in biology. Now, in biology, one of them is the omic approach, yeah. And apparently we need to go through this multi-omic approach, yeah, from the genomics, transcriptomics, proteomic, and metabolomic. So for example, this one is the, as you said, as you might aware from the biology, yeah, from gene to mRNA, yeah, and then translation into protein, and then this from the protein into various enzymes, and these enzymes may form different metabolites. So this one is very interesting to be observed. But one of the disadvantage that it requires sophisticated or advanced equipments. Next, please. So for example, the genomics. To observe the rumen microbes, okay, thank you. No problem. So for example, when we observe the rumen microbes, normally what we do is to count how many are the total bacteria, how many are the total protozoa. This is one of the oldest method, yeah. And then it has shifted to, for example, using the real-time PCR to know certain targeted microbes, for example, Fibrobacter, and then protozoa, also Methanobrevibacter as the main part of, or the main class of the methanogens. Yeah? We use the, let's say, the real-time PCR. But nowadays, it's really good to use the NGS. Yeah, we could profile the metagenomics profile of the microbiome in the rumen. Yeah. There are many classes of microbes inside the rumen, and there was really a big project on, for example, rumen census. Rumen census were the census of rumen microbes across the world. And unfortunately, there was no institution from Indonesia took a part within this big project, unfortunately. So I think, but on the other hand, this is our good opportunity to observe or to explore what are the population of microbiome in the rumen of ruminants in Indonesia. Next, please. Yeah, just some other explanation from this various classes of rumen microbes. We can connect to various metabolic pathways in the rumen. Next. Yeah, we could use, because the data are enormous, a lot of data. So normally, if we use the multi-omics approach, we need to employ more advanced statistical analysis, like the multivariate analysis, principal component analysis, partial least square and discriminant analysis, or even the artificial intelligence or the machine learning approach. For example, the neural network, artificial neural network, support vector machine. There are so many different algorithms for predicting the complicated of the data. Yeah? Next. Again, yeah, this the hierarchical cluster analysis, two-dimensional cluster analysis. So if we play with the omics technology, it will be very interesting. Next. We could see also the network analysis of these various microbes. Next. Okay, we can skip this one. Okay, this one is from my PhD student. She has completed her PhD just this year with less than 3 years for her PhD. And she works for BRIN at Yogyakarta, Ibu Ayu Anggraini. So she observed using metagenomic approach concerning what is happening in the rumen, in the rumen in vitro, when it was added with chitosan. So we try to play with chitosan. It is one of the bioactive molecules obtained mainly from the marine species, for example, from shrimp, from crab, but we took it from the leftover. We took it from the waste of these aquatic animals. And we could see, I'm not going to tell you in detail, just to show you some of the interesting results. So we could observe what is happening when, for example, chitosan is introduced into the diet in vitro. Is there any microbial changes after being treated with this chitosan or not? We could see the profile. Next. For transcriptomics, I didn't have any personal experience, but one of my colleagues in the department, she performed her PhD at Seoul National University, and the experimental setup was really simple, just to compare between the normal and the castrated bulls, and then took the blood samples and see what is happening from the transcriptional changes between the normal and the castration of the bulls. So the experimental setup may be quite standard or quite common, but then when we look at into deeper parameters, it may give us a better understanding or even nice insight for future research agenda. Next, please. Okay, some of the results from her PhD study. Next. So after genomic, transcriptomic, metabolomic, mainly my research nowadays is dealing with this metabolomic, and maybe hopefully our PhD, our project for the PhD Nusantara in the second or third year will go also into this parameters, Vincent. So we could, for silage, for example, we may observe different or the change of the metabolomes present in the silage after certain treatments. For example, if we add or if we use tannin-containing plants, then what is happening in the metabolomes of the silage, in the metabolic profiles of the silage? Again, the experimental setup may be the same or similar as usual, but then what we observe is really deep. Next. Okay, next again. So this one is again from my PhD student, Ibu Ayu. We could perform, for example, in the left side, there are 5 treatments, 5 dietary treatments, and we want to see whether these 5 dietary treatments, and some of them contain the chitosan, can we differentiate between these treatments after by using the metabolomic profiles? And indeed, we could separate these treatments clearly from based on the metabolomic profiles. We could see by using this partially square and discriminant analysis, so there are quite considerable changes. We perform also the two-dimensional cluster analysis to see the relationship between different parameters and different treatments. Next. In the rumen also, rumen feed can also be a good sample for this metabolomic profiling. I took it from one of the reference. Next, please. My PhD student also performed the metabolomic in the rumen, and we could see what is happening. Is there any metabolite changes for the small molecules after being treated with certain treatment. Yeah, we can play as the treatments either bioactive molecules or bioactive compounds. We can play with differentiation. We can play with anything actually. Again, next. My other PhD student, she also graduated this year, yeah, less than 3 years. Normally, when I supervise PhD student, they finish within 3 years maximally, yeah. Because I told them, if you are more than 3 years, then please look for other promoter, yeah, just for kidding. But I told since the beginning, in order to think that okay, my time span is maximally 3 years. Yeah. So this one is from the blood. Yeah, this one the treatment are different. She used the black soldier fly, the maggot, as a feed ingredient for feeding the sheep. Yeah, and is there any difference concerning the metabolic profiles in the blood when the sheep were fed with the maggot? Because in I think in Europe the insects may be still, I don't know whether there is a clear regulation concerning feeding the insect for ruminants. Yeah, for poultry or for fish may be fine, but for ruminants maybe I don't know, yeah, in Europe. Yeah. But we want to see whether is it really safe or not to feed the insects. Yeah. In this case, it's black soldier fly as a feed ingredient for sheep. Yeah, and we think that there's no big problem. Yeah, based on this only single experiment, based on the metabolic profile. Next. Nowadays also the development of feed additive. Previously we did the a trial and error method. Nowadays to develop a feed additive is in conjunction with molecular biology. For example, there was a development of this molecule, the 3-nitrooxypropanol molecule, by mimicking the substrate of the methyl coenzyme A reductase. This enzyme is the terminal enzyme in methanogen that's responsible for converting the CO2 and hydrogen into methane. And if there's a molecule, yeah, that is really fit to the enzyme, it may reduce the methane emission because the substrate is no longer the carbon dioxide and hydrogen. This is interesting. And when I did the meta-analysis, this is not our research, yeah, but we did the meta-analysis, and it was really good that at least from our meta-analysis, the methane is reduced, but it has no effect on other production parameters. But again, since this is the synthesized molecule, so we are not really sure in the future whether it has negative effects or not. Next. This one is one of the nice thing. Yeah. Students who perform the prepare the ration or preparing the feed supplement. What is nice that we have the standard, yeah? How much energy, how much protein that should be mixed in the ration. So we just follow the standard and try to make an optimal solution. But then there's a question. How about if we want to mix the feed additives? There's no standard for feed additives, right? Yeah. So I personally learned from the people from pharmacy, yeah, from the Faculty of Pharmacy. Although we don't have in IPB, but I learned from other university. So it looked like when the pharmacy people mix their drug, yeah. So we may employ the design of experiment method, either full factorial or box Benton method, or the Taguchi, or the central composite design. And then we may observe this multiple factors at once by using the response surface methodology. Maybe for some of you interesting. Okay, next, a little bit more, yeah. And then now also we try to employ data integration, data aggregation, and analyze them at once, yeah. We combine different experiments by using, for example, meta-analysis, yeah, apart from other methods. For example, we could clearly show that tannin is beneficial to reduce the protein breakdown in the rumen. Next, to reduce methane also expected. Next, to enhance or at least to maintain the silage quality, especially those that contain high protein content. Yeah. For example, if we make silage in Europe by using alfalfa, in our case, for example, making silage from indigo fera or others, yeah, we could see that tannin may reduce the proteolysis, yeah, present in the silage. Next, methane emission. Okay, next. And then we may also answer the industrial questions. So for example, in the poultry industry, which one should we use when we try to incorporate or to supplement with zinc sources? Yeah. Shall we use the organic zinc or just simply an organic zinc? We may perform this study. I mean, just combining data, research, different papers, and then, okay, we may see the result here that the between organic and inorganic zinc overall at the similar level, yeah, about 60 ppm, they are the same. It means that, okay, which one is cheaper? You may choose because there's no clear difference between organic and anorganic zinc. But this may be different for other minerals. For example, chromium or selenium might be different. Yeah. And then there was a question from a poultry nutritionist in an industry. What about if we use tannin as a feed additive in the poultry diet? Yeah. And then we perform meta-analysis. Oh, okay. That when we incorporate the tannin, all the production parameters of the poultry, of the broilers went down. But then we have solution. We may use the small molecular polyphenol, yeah, small molecule phenolics like flavonoids. And we perform the meta-analysis that flavonoids is good, yeah. It has a quadratic effect. So at a certain level, it enhances the production performance of broiler. But then when it exceeds that optimum level, it reduces again the production performance. So again, this is really interesting. We may address industrial problems or industrial questions, yeah, both poultry or ruminant, by using this data integration and analysis methods or meta-analysis.
5 more minutes, please.
Okay, Ibu, I think I'm going to end. Next slide, please. Okay, like this. Which one is more effective? DL-methionine or methionine hydroxy analog? Anything we can try to solve by using meta-analysis. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, next. Okay, next slide. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. We invite Peter Dandan and Dr. Vincent to come in. Ya, Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, tadi Prof. Anuraga menyampaikan pengalaman risetnya yang luar biasa, mudah-mudahan bisa menginspirasi kita bahwa riset sekarang lebih ke arah biomolekuler, kemudian tujuan utama yang perlu juga kita tambahkan dalam riset kita adalah kontribusinya terhadap lingkungan, ya, menurunkan emisi gas karbon. Tampaknya sekarang industri-industri yang saya tahu kalau di Kalimantan itu mereka harus ada saving karbon begitu, dan ini mungkin harus kita, tujuan penelitian kita menetapkan kepentingan untuk berkontribusi terhadap lingkungan, itu tampaknya Dr. Vincent maupun Prof. Anuraga tadi menyampaikan menjadi hal yang penting. Kemudian penelitian beliau juga banyak mengambil dari metadata ya, ini juga mungkin bisa menjadi inspirasi kita semua untuk melakukan penelitian. Okay, now we have a question answer session. The audience will ask a question and please you will be answered. Okay. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, silakan diberi kesempatan untuk menanyakan apa saja berkaitan yang telah disampaikan oleh para pembicara tadi. Bisa disampaikan dalam bahasa apapun, nanti akan dibantu oleh mahasiswa juga dan kami. Silakan Ibu Bapak. Ya, silakan Pak Diki. Bisa diberikan. Ditujukan kepada siapa Pak Diki, nanti disampaikan.
My first question is for Dr. Vincent Naider-Kon. My name is Diki Ramdhani. I'm a lecturer in this faculty. You said that bioactive compounds such as tannins included in silage can reduce methane and loss, also increase bypass protein, increase in general increase performance parameters improvement. But at the end of the slide, you also said that it has beneficial effect on health status of ruminants. But unfortunately, in this slide, you didn't explain in more details what health status parameters have you studied so far about the effect of bioactive compounds in ruminants. That's my first question. And my second question will go to Peter Danden. I had experience working with Professor John Gogan under MLA project titled The Effect of Heat Stress in Feedlot Cattle. So it's good collaboration between MLA and University of Queensland at the time. Yeah, I involved in that project, but my question is, do you have any experience collaborate between MLA and academic or university in Indonesia? So if you have any experience, and in the future, maybe we can do the same. Okay, that's two of my questions. Thank you very much.
You want to directly answer the question? Okay, silakan. Yes, please.
Thank you for the question. Yes, you are right. We can see with same point and condensed tannin, we can improve the silage, but after we have some reduction of organic matter degradability. Yeah, that's a point. Yeah, we analyze this, and I think it's not due to the bioactive compounds from sainfoin and condensed tannins. It's more intrinsic at the sainfoin because they are very rich in lignin. It's a plant very rich in undegradable fiber. So I think that is the reason of the reduction of organic matter degradability, but also after of the reduction of performance. But it's not a problem of tannin, it's a problem of fiber. Okay. Okay. About animal health, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know that I had no enough time this time. Yesterday, I developed this point, but yes, what is possible with also with bioactive compounds, especially probably with tannin, but also with flavonoids, is to perturb the cycle of the parasites. You know, the parasites are ingested by the animal and develop in the animal and cause some health issue. And it's colleague parasitologist working on this, and he explained me the mode of action is the tannin can also bind protein from the larvae of the parasite, and it perturbs the cycle, and at the end you have less egg expression, leg expression in the grassland, and you perturb the cycle of parasitism. Is that the mode of action of bioactive compounds, especially tannins?
Thank you, Dr. Nida.
Sure. Yeah, look, absolutely. MLA partners with lots of universities and research organizations. So we might be doing pen density research with the University of New England, development of mRNA vaccine for FMD with University of Sydney. So we partner with lots of universities, but so that research is funded by levies paid by Australian producers, and that's matched dollar for dollar by the Australian government. And that's how we get our research budget. In order to do research, there's got to be a research question. So we get a lot of approaches to do projects, but what is the research question? Quite often we get asked to do things that don't really have a research question. So if there's a good research question that's got industry application, because remember it's producers that are funding that research, so there's got to be a solid business case to undertake that research. So some of the projects are millions of dollars that we co-invest with commercial entities and also universities. So we've had Murdoch University in Western Australia doing a lot of the animal welfare research. So different universities, as you know, specialize in different things. So we're always open to partnering with universities, and it doesn't have to be just in Australia, but there's got to be a good case for doing that research that benefits Australian industry, because it's Australian industry that's funding that research with the Australian government. So here in Indonesia, it's our largest live cattle market. So it's enormously important to the northern beef producers. That's where nearly all the cattle that come to Indonesia are from northern Australia. Those producers have very few alternatives other than the live export trade. So anything to do with that live cattle trade with Indonesia that would help sustain that trade and keep market access open between Australia and Indonesia, that's certainly the sort of thing that's the theme that we would be looking at to partner with between MLA and Indonesia universities. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Peter and Dr. Vincent. It means that the lecture have a research proposal, and the aim of the research proposal is fit with what the industry want to have. So the MLA will make contribution to that research. As far as the goal of the research proposal is to maintain the market trade, etc. Okay, thank you. Okay, baik, silakan Pak Andre.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Andre, and actually I'm come from the social economics background of the livestock. Yang saya ingin tanyakan adalah I will ask you in Indonesian first, as to my students can understand my question. Tantangan atau hambatan apa saja yang apa ya, biggest challenge, apa tantangan terbesar yang kita hadapi di bidang peternakan. Itu yang pertama, dan yang kedua, terus apa implikasinya buat kita semua yang ada di studi ilmu peternakan. So my question, I would like to hear from the speakers on the stage that what is the biggest challenge that we face in our animal industry? And can you share to us what the implication of that challenge, what the solution, and what should we do in the context of the animal science education in Indonesia? So maybe we talk about the future curricula, or we should emphasize on one component, as Professor Anuraga that he does the research more from away from I think very advanced the research. So what is the implication? That is maybe the most important thing that we should consider in our faculty, Bu Endang. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Andre. Okay. I think Prof. Anuraga first. Okay, and then Dr. Vincent, and next Dr. Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Andre, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Animal Science at Padjadjaran University. This is actually really a hard question, yeah, because the biggest challenge means one answer, yeah, and it is really uneasy to address which one is the most problematic challenge for us. So, but in my opinion, in terms of economy, yeah, I think the justice. But this one is hard to be intervened by us, yeah, because this is more to the political power and economical power, so it's not easy to answer, yeah. But in terms of university, yeah, in terms of university, I think one of the challenge also for us at IPB University is the matching between what is needed by the industry, yeah, and what we have produced from our students. So sometimes it is not really matching. Yeah, for example, industry would like the criteria of the graduates to be like this, but we produce something else. So this is, I think, by the last curriculum, like MBKM, maybe this one is one of the great ways to matchmaking between the industrial needs and the campus, yeah, to make each other closer. So I think only one. So I answer also only one, but not easy because this is just my personal opinion, Mr. Vice Dean.
What is the implication? The implication?
Yes, I also find it a very large question. The challenge. I think first, I think there is not only one, because I think the situation in Indonesia, in Australia, in Europe is very different. Just for example, in Europe, now the demand for the red meat for beef is stabilized and start to decrease. Actually, the people, and especially the young people, start to reduce their consumption. I don't know if they are right, but the reason is they have a concern for environment, but also okay. Yes, the reason is environment, is health also, because some reasons show that if you consume too much red meat, you can increase the risk of some cancer, for example. Okay, so they start to reduce it. So I think the challenge for the European is to maybe to increase the quality, to stabilize the profit. I imagine in Indonesia it's totally different because you need maybe a good production. For me, it's just my opinion. I think the main challenge is to increase the efficiency. But to finish, I think I'm sure we share at least a big challenge in common. That is to be efficient, but also to take care to the environment. Because if we are produce more in the same way, I think the problem with climate change make worse the problem we can have. Just my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent.
Thank you. Yeah, there are lots of challenges and lots of risks for industry, but if you had 10 people up here from different disciplines, you'd probably get 14 different answers about what the major challenge is. Certainly from Australia's perspective, market access is essential. As I said in my talk, if we don't have market access, then that's it for us. We're an exporter. So the big challenge, one of the big risks for us at the moment is exotic diseases. So FMD, LSD, lumpy skin disease, and foot and mouth disease. If we get either of those diseases, then we lose all our export, virtually all our major export markets will not take our products. So that would be catastrophic for Australia if we get FMD or LSD. So biosecurity is a really big priority for us. And as you know, Indonesia now has FMD and LSD, and that's very close to Australia. So we're putting a lot of focus on biosecurity. And that relates straight through to our market access, because FMD and LSD are written into nearly every health protocol for our major markets. So, but the other, just the other things within livestock production, we're hugely dependent on climatic and seasonal conditions. At the moment in Australia, it's very, very dry. And we came out of a big drought in 2018-19, where the population went very low, our cattle population and sheep, and now it's come back up, and now it's dry. It was very wet for 2 years, and now we're going back into dry season. And at the moment, it's very challenging for producers. They're trying to get rid of livestock, sell them, but it's very difficult, and prices have gone down a lot. So the cost of production and seasonal risk, climatic risk is a big one for us as well.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Ya, jadi beragam tadi yang disampaikan oleh Prof. Anuraga tadi berkaitan dengan kurikulum ya. Kurikulum ternyata MBKM ini termasuk satu hal yang bisa dilakukan oleh fakultas ya untuk menghadapi tantangan tersebut. Ya. Sementara tadi Dr. Vincent ya riset-risetnya diarahkan ke riset-riset yang mendukung perubahan-perubahan yang terjadi di dunia peternakan. Itu juga Peter Danden tadi yang sangat tantangan terbesar adalah climate change ya, perubahan-perubahan pada iklim yang sangat drastis ya, saat ini menghadapi musim kemarau ya, ada kemungkinan penurunan populasi dan mahasiswa disiapkan untuk menghadapi hal-hal tersebut. Ya. Baik, the next terms I asking for the silakan Prof.
Terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Saya mau nanya kepada Pak Peter yang dari Australia. Dapatkah Anda memberikan tahap-tahap bagaimana perkembangan industri sapi daging di Australia sejak awal? Mungkin dari tahun ini sampai sekarang. Dan saya yakin Australia itu negara yang besar yang dapat mengekspor sapi bukan hanya ke daerah Asia, tapi juga ke daerah-daerah. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Prof. Yeah. He asking about, can you tell the history of Australian government, how to develop the beef industry from the previous one until right now? Yeah, the beef industry in Australia.
Well, that's a big question. It's a big question. Cattle first came to Australia from England in the early days, and they developed over the years. And so to start with, it was all British breeds, but then over time, people became aware that you needed certain breeds for certain environments. So we brought in tropical cattle for tropical environments. And it's just been a constant process of adaptation. So the Australian beef industry has put a lot of emphasis on genetic improvement. We've invested a lot of money into our feed base, nutrition, pastures, not only cattle for certain climatic areas, but also pastures for certain climatic areas. So the whole industry has been able to develop and expand by matching animals and improved pasture species to specific areas in Australia. And that's allowed us to expand the beef industry. It started in the north, and then it's moved in the south, and then it's moved into Northern Australia. And the good thing for Indonesia is that we've got a lot of cattle in Northern Australia that are very suitable for Indonesia. So it's Northern Australia is very similar to Indonesia. So those cattle that we run in the north, they're low-cost breeding operations, very extensive low-cost breeding operations that produce feeder cattle for Indonesian feedlots. And so it's the perfect match. We breed them, you feed them. That's it. And as long as we can continue to do that within animal welfare expectations, community and government regulations and community expectations, then the trade will continue. But I know you want to wind up, so I'll just leave it there. But as far as the Australian government goes, the Australian government is invested heavily into research and development with the livestock industries, with all primary industries. So they match dollar for dollar. Every dollar that industry invests, the Australian government invests another dollar. So that's enabled the Australian beef industry and other agricultural industries, grains, horticulture, they're all able to advance and keep progressing, matching industry and government money. So it's been a real successful structure for our R&D, for our research and development. Okay, I'll just leave it there.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Jadi tadi kalau historinya zaman dahulu dari England ya, dan kalau sapi-sapi dari sana tropis tentunya mudah beradaptasi kalau dia dipelihara dari wilayah yang sesuai dengan Eropa. Jadi dimulai dari wilayah selatan, kemudian mengarah ke utara, dan pengelolaan industri sapi ini di bawah Department of Primary Industry, jadi yang melibatkan pangan. Jadi mereka saling bekerja sama dengan baik sektor pangan agronominya dengan cattle industrinya, dan ini semua dilaksanakan dalam satu kesatuan, terus-menerus dikembangkan. Iya, silakan, Prof.
Terima kasih. Apakah mungkin kita di negara Indonesia itu bisa mengikuti langkah-langkah yang dilakukan oleh Australia? Sepertinya tadi ada seperti meniru dan dalam tanda kutip ada perkembangan sapi daging dari Inggris sendiri. Kita tadi disampaikan bahwa mulai dari daerah yang katakanlah hampir subtropis atau subtropis, kemudian berkembang ke utara yang tropis. Nah, kita ini kan Indonesia itu semuanya adalah barangkali ya termasuk tropis. Apakah ada spesialisasi sapi dagingnya atau terima kasih.
Baik. Is it for you still for you? Is it possible for Indonesia to do the same thing, similar thing that Australian already do to develop the cattle industry? As we know that Indonesia is a tropical country compared with Australia. In the south area is subtropics, whereas in the north is close to the tropical area. Is there any breeds of cattle that can be reared in the tropical area in Indonesia?
Yeah, well, I doubt the Bos Indicus, the tropical breeds are suited for the conditions here in Indonesia. So we're sending those cattle to you, and you already have breeds that are the local breeds, very fertile. You know, I think you can always apply the same science to different areas. So we've invested heavily in breeding and genetics. It's the same thing. You can do that everywhere. So exactly the same with improving nutrition. You know, we invest in providing nutritional advice to feedlots here in Indonesia. So that's with a feedlot ration. The same goes with grazing, pasture, fodder-based production systems, animal health. You know, the same thing, looking after cattle health and welfare. The same principles apply. All the things that we've applied in Australia, I think you can apply the same principles and the same science to Indonesia and continue to make gains. Yeah.
Ya baik, jadi pada intinya bisa saja dilakukan, tapi di Indonesia juga memiliki bangsa sapi lokal cattle tadi yang dikatakan yang memiliki daya tahan yang cukup tinggi, dan kalau itu dikembangkan tampaknya akan lebih baik. Gitu. Intinya seperti itu, Prof. Baik, tampaknya waktu sudah semakin siang, dan before we finish, I will ask for all you speakers to make some closing remark. As the topic of this seminar is initiating the future of Faculty of Animal Husbandry to be more impacting and performing. So what do you think? What faculty have to do to increase the quality of our graduates? As your question remarks. Please, from you first, Dr. Yeah.
If I understand well, it's for ID for the future. No.
Yeah. The future of our faculty. What do you think about what we have to do to increase our graduates, to increase the quality of our graduate relating to the challenge and everything in the world here?
It's a very large question. I think you already developed a very strong university. You have many students. I can see in your university. I think it's a strength. You know, I think that is your strength. I think if you continue to develop, to invest in these young people, or to try to develop their mind and also their capacity to try to find also modern facilities, to go to some standards, as you explained, the metabolomic, something like that, to be open at this. I think for the future, I think you will be successful, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, Prof. Anuraga.
Yes, just a short comment. My perspective is let's enhance our collaboration, because through collaboration, we can mutually strengthen ourselves. Yeah. So this is, of course, applied within the Indonesia among different universities that has animal science, as well as with other international partners like France, like Australia. I think this is our good chance to be more developed in the future. That's all.
Thank you, Prof. And next, Dr. Peter.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Yeah, look, I agree. I think people investing in your people is everything. To have the right people in the right positions, like in Meat and Livestock Australia, without our people, we are nothing. So, making sure that we employ the right people, that we continue to invest in those people in their professional development. As far as research goes, making sure that we're partnering with industry and that all the research we do is very has got industry relevance is very important for us because we're an industry organisation. So that's very important for the future. So, and I think lastly, we need to make sure that we're always balancing academic stuff with industry application. So the people that are coming out of universities, it's very important that they are able to get that industry experience and have a practical understanding of the application of what they're learning at university. So I know when I went through university, I wasn't from a farming background. So in all my holidays, I went to farms. I got as much experience as I could. My time making sure I understood the practical components of agriculture and livestock. So, and they're the sort of people that we're looking to employ, the people that have got the academic smart aspects, but also the application, the practical application, so that they can maximize what they've learned in that practical application perspective. Yep.
Okay, thank you for all the speakers. Ya, Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, tadi secara umum telah disampaikan oleh para pembicara. Jadi hal yang dapat kita lakukan untuk meningkatkan kualitas lulusan kita adalah tadi disampaikan oleh Dr. Vincent, ya, bahwa kita mempunyai satu kekuatan, ya, jumlah mahasiswa yang banyak. Nah, jumlah mahasiswa yang banyak ini menjadi satu kekuatan kita. Berikan peningkatan pada soft skill-nya, karena pada saat kita sudah berhadapan dengan banyak pihak, tentu soft skill-nya ini akan banyak dimanfaatkan. Kemudian Prof. Anuraga menyampaikan kembangkan kolaborasi dengan industri, kolaborasi yang bisa meningkatkan wawasan kita dan juga bisa meningkatkan kualitas penelitian. Sementara itu, Dr. Peter Danden menyampaikan people investing on people. Jadi investasi kita fakultas tentu pada mahasiswa dan juga para dosennya. Jadi dosennya kualitas akademik sangat diperlukan, tapi juga dibutuhkan untuk practical komponen dari dosen juga yang harus dilakukan. Jadi bukan hanya penelitian, tapi juga langsung terjun ke lapangan, melihat bagaimana industri yang ada di luar sana itu juga perlu diketahui, sehingga apa yang kita berikan pada mahasiswa benar-benar sesuai dengan apa yang dilihat oleh dosennya. Yeah, I already asked all the audience about everything that you say as a closing remarks. Thank you for the speaker. Terima kasih atas perhatian Ibu Bapak sekalian. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to our moderator for leading the session for today. Ladies and gentlemen, the next session is a presentation session to all the speaker and moderator, which will be delivered by our team. To Dr. Rahmat Hidayat, time and place is yours.
Teman-teman hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya adalah ada sesi apresiasi yang akan diberikan langsung oleh Bapak Dekan Fakultas Peternakan, yaitu Dr. Rahmat Hidayat, kepada pembicara hari ini dan juga moderator. Baik, selanjutnya adalah penyerahan sertifikat kepada moderator kita hari ini. Mungkin Bapak boleh untuk foto bersama terlebih dahulu kepada tim dokumentasi, boleh untuk diabadikan. Baik Bapak Ibu, hitungan ada pada saya. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi. Tangannya boleh diangkat Bapak Ibu. Baik. 1, 3. Baik. Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu sekalian. Boleh disilakan untuk duduk kembali.
Okay, everyone. Okay, everyone. This is our agenda for today's seminar. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the speakers for their valuable insight and expertise, and they have shared with us today. Let's give them a round of applause. And thank all the participants for being a part of this talk show. We hope you found it insightful and educational. It was my greatest honor to be here with you all today. Now, to all participants, please stay up with us because after this, there will an outstanding performance by Animal Husbandry Dance Club.
Baik, hadirin sekalian jangan kemana-mana karena sesaat lagi kita akan menyaksikan penampilan luar biasa dari klub tari dari Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran. Untuk itu tanpa berlama-lama lagi, marilah kita sambut Kirana.
Angkat nagan tay nganggo sinjang dilam umat imut Surak serina larak lirik Garilis disinjang lancang esku su digigirna harap yang asli itu kan
Baik, luar biasa. Boleh tepuk tangan sekali lagi Bapak Ibu. Luar biasa. Terima kasih terhadap teman-teman Kirana atas penampilan yang begitu luar biasa. Kemana-mana Bapak Ibu, karena selanjutnya kita akan mendengarkan presentasi dari mahasiswa berprestasi di fakultas kita, Fakultas Peternakan. Baik, seperti yang kita ketahui Bapak Ibu sekalian bahwa ada teman-teman kita yang lolos pendanaan dikti program kreativitas mahasiswa atau yang biasa kita kenal dengan PKM. Untuk itu mungkin Bapak Ibu tanpa berlama-lama lagi kita akan mengundang teman-teman dari PKM Kewirausahaan dan juga PKM Penerapan IPTEK yang beranggotakan. Untuk PKM Kewirausahaan sendiri beranggotakan Bening Maria Syafa, Safira Marwa Naifa Oktaviano, Develin Bane, Muhammad Daimul Hoir. Untuk itu boleh perwakilannya mungkin untuk maju ke depan. Boleh tepuk tangannya Bapak Ibu. Baik, selanjutnya adalah PKM Penerapan IPTEK yang beranggotakan Budi Santoso, Arya Alifa, Anissa Suci Givari Suryadi, dan Satria Bentang Samudra. Untuk perwakilannya mungkin boleh ke depan. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, di depan sini sudah ada perwakilan dari anggota tim perwakilan dari program kreativitas mahasiswa yang lolos pendanaan Dikti. Oleh karena itu, berlama-lama lagi, saya serahkan langsung kepada tim PKM Kewirausahaan dan juga tim PKM Penerapan IPTEK. Waktu dan tempat saya silakan.
Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oke, selamat siang Bapak, Ibu yang saya hormati dan juga teman-teman semua yang saya banggakan. Senang berdiri di sini di acara Natalis Fakultas Peternakan yang ke-60. Ini sangat menjadi suatu kehormatan bagi kami berempat dari kedua kelompok. Mungkin perkenalkan terlebih dahulu, kami dari kelompok program kreativitas mahasiswa yang beranggotakan ada kami dari Peternakan Jatinangor itu ada 5 orang, tapi mungkin kita mewakili ya Daim. Jadi sini saya Safira Marwa, Peternakan angkatan 2021, dan di sebelah saya ada Daim sebagai anggota dari kelompok kami yang berjudul Bira Candy, permen anti mabuk perjalanan yang berbahan dasar daun bidara Arab yang kaya akan dimenhydrinate alami. Mungkin boleh dari Fakultas Peternakan Jatinangor, PSDKU boleh diperkenalkan terlebih dahulu.
Saya sendiri Satria Bentang Samudra dari Fakultas Peternakan Jatinangor juga untuk perwakilan dari PKM Penerapan IPTEK dengan judul Pakan Fungsional Berbahan Baku Lokal untuk meningkatkan produktivitas kambing perah di peternakan Tani Jaya Makmur di daerah pesisir pantai Pangandaran. Dan untuk selanjutnya,
baik, perkenalkan nama saya Anissa Suci dari Fakultas Peternakan Jatinangor juga angkatan 2020.
Oke, mungkin karena di sini juga ada angkatan 2023 ya yang mungkin belum tahu nih sebenarnya apa program kreativitas mahasiswa. Mungkin boleh langsung aja kita jelaskan kepada Daim, dipersilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Kalau kita terus story lagi ya, pada tahun 97 itu ada program atau pengenalan karya alternatif mahasiswa. Nah, lalu tahun 2001 agar kreativitas dan juga karya ini bisa mencakup ke berbagai hal, diadakanlah program kreativitas mahasiswa yang dimana nggak hanya sekedar alternatif dan juga karya belaka, tapi ada masing-masing bidang ya. Mungkin PPT-nya bisa atau belum ya? Oke, mungkin saya lanjutkan aja ya. Maka dari itu program atau PKM ini merupakan suatu ataupun program dari Kemendikbudristek pada tahun ini yang nantinya akan atau bertujuan untuk mengkompetisikan para mahasiswa yang di perguruan tinggi Kemendikbudristek untuk menambah inovasi dan juga kreativitasnya. Pada tahun ini ada 8 bidang ya teman-teman di dalam PKM, dan pada tahun ini juga nantinya dari PKM-PKM ini yang lolos pendanaan akan difinalisasi pada Pekan Ilmiah Mahasiswa Nasional yang alhamdulillah juga tahun ini kebetulan PIMNAS tuan rumahnya adalah Universitas Padjadjaran. Dan di tahun 2023 ini sumber dari Belmawa ya, ada sekitar 42.000 judul proposal dari perguruan tinggi di bawah Kemendikbudristek. Lalu yang lolos pendanaan hanya sebesar 5.102. Dan alhamdulillah juga dari Universitas Padjadjaran ada 44 judul proposal yang lolos dan 2 diantaranya adalah dari Fakultas Peternakan. Tepuk tangan. Dan kita sekarang dari Kewirausahaan dan juga PKM PI sedang melaksanakan progresnya dan bismillah nanti di November kita akan melaksanakan Timnas, semoga kita lolos dan ini akan membawa nama universitas dan juga fakultas ke ranah nasional di tingkat Kemendikbudristek. Dan mungkin untuk selanjutnya tadi ada PKM Kewirausahaan dan juga PKMPI akan dijelaskan lebih lanjut oleh rekan-rekan saya, kami aturkan.
Oke, baik. Jadi teman-teman tadi udah ada penjelasan mengenai PKM itu apa, dan sekarang izinkan saya untuk sedikit menceritakan apa sih yang kita gagas dalam PKMK yang ada di kelompok Bira Candy. Jadi Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman semuanya, Bira Candy ini merupakan permen anti mabuk perjalanan yang berbahan dasar dari daun bidara Arab yang juga pemanisnya merupakan gula aren murni. Dari sini ada dua pertanyaan. Yang pertama, mengapa kita memilih gagasan tersebut? Dan yang kedua, sebenarnya apa hubungan dari daun bidara Arab dan juga dimenhydrinate? Oke, izinkan saya untuk menjawab pertanyaan satu persatu. Yang pertama, kenapa kita memilih gagasan ini? Ini tercipta ketika kami melihat fenomena di mana setiap harinya selalu ada mobilisasi yang terjadi. Orang-orang terutama yang memang bermobilisasi dengan jarak jauh. Nah, maka dari itu, menurut sebagian besar hasil survei yang telah kami dapatkan, ternyata sebagian besar orang-orang ini pernah mengalami namanya mabuk perjalanan. Dan kemudian dilanjut, sebesar 53% diantaranya merasa bahwa solusi-solusi yang ada seperti obat dan juga solusi lainnya ini masih kurang efektif untuk menanggulangi permasalahan mereka. Maka dari itu kami akhirnya mengusung gagasan tersebut. Bagaimana caranya kita untuk memformulasikan sesuatu agar menjadi sebuah hal yang bisa menanggulangi solusi tersebut. Dan akhirnya kita memiliki ide lagi nih, yaitu dari daun bidara Arab. Kenapa daun bidara Arab? Bahwa daun bidara Arab ini memiliki efek farmakologis yang hampir sama dengan dimenhydrinate. Dimenhydrinate itu apa? Dimenhydrinate ini merupakan obat yang dapat menanggulangi mual dan rasa pusing ketika kita sedang mengalami atau sedang berada di sebuah perjalanan. Kenapa bisa ada hal seperti itu? Karena ternyata di daun bidara Arab ini tuh memiliki efek antioksidan dan juga antidepresan yang bisa menenangkan dan juga menanggulangi dari adanya permasalahan tubuh ketika mengalami atau sedang berada di perjalanan. Begitulah. Dan alhamdulillah Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman semuanya, kali ini Bira Candy ini telah menjual kurang lebih sebesar 200 kemasan yang kami jual tidak hanya secara langsung tapi juga lewat dari media. Terima kasih banyak. Telah dijual sebanyak 200 kemasan, itu tidak hanya berada di sekitar Jatinangor, tapi kita juga sudah merambat ke berbagai daerah, ada dari Jawa Barat dan juga Jawa Barat, Jawa Tengah, ada dari Jawa Timur juga ada, dan lain sebagainya. Dan kemudian teman-teman semuanya mungkin boleh langsung aja sekarang di follow juga Instagram kami, yaitu Instagramnya biracandy.id, karena kami pun juga sedang mengejar semoga followers semakin bertambah sehingga penjualan kami juga makin bertingkat. Dan ada juga TikToknya dan juga ada Shopee-nya juga. Mungkin boleh teman-teman juga agar nantinya mensukseskan dari program kreativitas mahasiswa ini yang ada di Fakultas Peternakan. Mungkin itu sekian gambaran dari Bira Candy. Mohon doanya Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman karena kami bentar lagi juga akan menuju kepada evaluasi berikut yang menjadi evaluasi akhir dari PKM ini. Mungkin boleh dilanjut dari teman-teman PKMPI.
Baik, tadi untuk PKM kewirausahaan ya. Untuk kami yaitu adalah PKM dari penerapan iptek. Jadi sebenarnya apa sih PKM dari penerapan iptek itu? Penerapan iptek untuk yaitu bagaimana kita dapat menemukan masalah yang ada di masyarakat, terutama masalah-masalah yang ada dalam industri, contohnya unit kegiatan atau ada dalam industri. Jadi bagaimana masyarakat yang memiliki produktivitas dan masalah-masalah itu coba kita kasih solusi dengan penerapan iptek yang akan kita lakukan. Nah, contohnya mungkin Cak Anissa boleh jelaskan?
Ya, contohnya seperti yang kita usung temanya yaitu pembuatan pakan fungsional yang dilaksanakan di daerah pesisir pantai Pangandaran. Bapak Ibu sekalian. Jadi kita mendapat informasi ya Kang bahwa di daerah Pangandaran itu mempunyai banyak potensi bahan pakan lokal yang bisa dimanfaatkan untuk membuat pakan yang menjadi kendala para peternak di sana seperti
Jadi di Pangandaran itu yang kita temukan masalahnya adalah terkait tentang kambing perah. Di Pangandaran itu bagaimana kambing etawa yang ada di Petani Jaya Makmur khususnya, ia memiliki produktivitas yang begitu rendah daripada potensi kambing etawa itu sendiri. Kira-kira berapa liter Anissa untuk produksi rendahnya?
Hampir tidak mencapai 1 liter Kang.
Bahkan tidak mencapai 1 liter untuk produksi susu dari kambing etawa. Padahal potensi dari kambing etawa itu dapat mencapai 2 liter pada puncak laktasi. Dan seiring dengan berjalannya waktu akan menurun hingga 100 hingga 200 mili pada masa kering atau menjelang kelahiran. Mungkin seperti itu.
Jadi kita itu PKMP ini bekerja sama dengan mitra ya Kang. Jadi kita berkolaborasi dengan mitra, kita menciptakan iptek lalu menerapkannya kepada peternak Jaya Makmur ini sebagai mitra kitanya. Seperti itu. Pengalaman sharing, kita lebih ke sharing ya teman-teman. Pengalaman yang kita dapat ini dari mengikuti PKMP ini apa aja sih Kang gitu?
Waduh, kalau pengalaman mungkin banyak sih Anissa ya. Mungkin yang pertama, alhamdulillah kami dapat lolos di pendanaan judul kami. Terus kemudian kami juga dapat menorehkan catatan prestasi mungkin sedikit ya untuk Fakultas Peternakan. Mungkin yang ketiga apa sih?
Kita juga dapat konversi SKS ya teman-teman, sekitar berapa Kang? 5 sampai
untuk
7.
sekarang 5 sampai 7.
Iya betul, konversi SKS-nya itu 5 sampai 7. Lalu kita dapat melatih soft skill juga. Kita berada di depan sini, di depan teman-teman semua juga berkat melalui PKM ini ya Bapak Ibu. Dan
Oke, mungkin apalagi ya benefitnya? Mungkin dari teman-teman PKMK ada yang mau berbagi?
Oke, jadi mungkin itu ada dari benefit dari kata dari tim PI ya. Oke, teman-teman semuanya, sebenarnya menurut kami ya PKM ini tidak cuma sebatas sebuah program, tapi ini juga sebuah tantangan besar. Karena kita dari awal tahun ya Daim ya, dari udah ngerancang proposal dan hingga saat ini kita masih melaksanakannya, itu merupakan yang berat mungkin ya, karena bisa dibilang ini program 1 tahun ya, bisa dibilang program 1 tahun. Jadi teman-teman semuanya yang nantinya akan melanjutkan program kreativitas mahasiswa di tahun 2024, semangat karena ini butuh keberanian juga, butuh komitmen yang tinggi. Tapi benar-benar di dalamnya banyak pembelajaran yang bisa kalian dapatkan, entah itu dari kerjasama dengan tim, karena ketika satu tim itu tidak kompak, itu nggak akan berjalan dengan baik. Terus juga ketelitian, mohon di highlight mengenai ketelitian itu dalam penulisan proposal, dan juga kalian juga mohon untuk ditingkatkan ketika nanti kalian mengikuti program kreativitas mahasiswa. Dan tentunya kami dari kelompok yang lolos pendanaan ini siap tentunya untuk jadi sharing ya, sesi sharing untuk kalian juga tanya kepada 2 kelompok ini. Mungkin itu aja ya. Ada yang lagi? Sudah cukup. Mungkin sekian teman. Terima kasih banyak kepada Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman semuanya. Terima kasih telah mengundang kami di acara Natalis ke-60 Fakultas Peternakan. Semoga Fakultas Peternakan dapat terus berjaya, makin banyak prestasinya, dan juga reputasi dunia. Sekian dari kami. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, luar biasa Bapak Ibu sekalian. Tadi merupakan teman-teman kita yang berprestasi, yang sudah mempresentasikan PKM yang akan nantinya dilagakan di Pimnas. Oleh itu, kita juga tak lupa mendukung dan mendoakan teman-teman kita yang nantinya akan juga kita memberikan support yang sangat besar dari Fakultas Peternakan, dan kita doakan semoga tim PKM kewirausahaan dan juga tim PKM penerapan iptek dapat membawa kejuaraan di Pimnas nantinya. Baik, selanjutnya Bapak Ibu sekalian, akan ada sesi apresiasi yang akan diberikan oleh Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran. Yang pertama mungkin akan langsung dimulai oleh apresiasi kepada dosen yang terpilih berdasarkan karya publikasi pada jurnal bereputasi dunia. Sesi ini akan langsung diberikan oleh Dekan Fakultas Peternakan, Bapak Dr. Rahmat Hidayat. Dan saya, Bapak Ibu, untuk memanggilkan beberapa nama dosen Fakultas Peternakan yang berkinerja yang terpilih berdasarkan karya publikasinya. Yang pertama, mungkin kepada Dr. Insinyur Haji Iman Hernaman, MSI. Yang kedua, Ibu Dr. Nena Hilmia, SPT, MSI. Yang ketiga, Bapak Dr. Ahmad Firman, SPT, MSI. Dan yang keempat, Ibu undang untuk ke depan.
Barusan Pak Iman sedang melaksanakan pengabdian pada masyarakat, jadi tidak bisa hadir. Mohon diwakili oleh dari Lab NTR, Prof. Hidayat mungkin. Pak Firman diwakili dari Sosek mungkin kalau tidak ada. Pak Wadek aja, Pak Wadek. Memberikan penghargaan dan apresiasi yang setinggi-tingginya bagi para dosen yang sudah memberikan sumbangsi terutama untuk publikasi internasional. Sekarang kita dituntut untuk publikasi internasional untuk meningkatkan rekognisi Fakultas Peternakan di dunia internasional.
Baik Bapak Ibu, mungkin boleh agak lakukan sesi dokumentasi, boleh kepada tim dokumentasi untuk mengabadikan momen hari ini. Hitungan ada pada saya, 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Bapak dan Ibu disilakan duduk kembali. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, selanjutnya kepada dosen Purna Bakti, serta kita haturkan ucapan terima kasih sebanyak-banyaknya dan sedalam-dalamnya atas dedikasi dan pengabdiannya selama bertugas di Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran. Boleh Bapak Ibu tepuk tangannya? Apresiasi ini akan diberikan langsung oleh Bapak Dr. Insinyur Andre Rivianda Daud, SPT, MSI, IPM, selaku Wakil Dekan Fakultas Peternakan. Izinkan saya untuk memanggilkan nama-nama dari dosen Purna Bakti Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran. Kepada yang pertama, Ibu Profesor Dr. Insinyur Husmi Yurmiyati, MS. Lalu selanjutnya, kepada Bapak Dr. Insinyur RD Heri Supratman, MS. Selanjutnya Bapak Insinyur Tidi Dalika, MS. Selanjutnya kepada Dr. Insinyur Dedi Rahmat, MS. Lalu Ibu Siti Nurrahma, MS. Dan yang terakhir kepada Bapak Asep Kusumah, AMD. Kami silakan untuk maju ke depan. Oh ya udah. Baik, selanjutnya adalah sesi dokumentasi. Hitungan ada pada saya. 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Silakan duduk kembali, Bapak Ibu. Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian, selanjutnya merupakan apresiasi lagi kepada tenaga kependidikan atau tendik berkinerja yang terpilih berdasarkan kreativitas layanan pada bidang kemahasiswaan dan sumber daya fakultas selama tahun 2023 yang akan diberikan langsung oleh Dekan Fakultas Peternakan, yaitu Bapak Dr. Rahmat Hidayat. Mungkin izinkan saya untuk memanggilkan nama-nama yang berkaitan. Yang pertama ada Bapak Nana Supriyatna Esos selaku layanan kepegawaian. Yang kedua kepada Ibu Betty Nurbania SIP selaku layanan kesekretariatan. Yang ketiga Bapak Dodi Firmansyah Suryadi Esos selaku layanan perpustakaan. Yang keempat Bapak Ogi Sugiono Lihandi Esos selaku layanan kemahasiswaan. Dan yang terakhir kepada Bapak Andri Wahyudi selaku layanan sarana prasarana pada tahun 2023. Kami undang untuk ke depan. Baik, selanjutnya adalah sesi dokumentasi. Hitungan ada pada saya. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi, 1, 2, 3. Baik, Bapak dan Ibu disilakan untuk duduk kembali. Baik, Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya adalah apresiasi. Apresiasi ini akan diberikan langsung oleh Wakil Dekan Fakultas Peternakan, yaitu Ibu Indrawati, dan juga mungkin izinkan saya untuk membacakan nama kegiatan dan juga level tingkat dari kejuaraan yang dihasilkan oleh mahasiswa berprestasi Universitas Padjadjaran. Yang pertama adalah Lomba Debat Temu Ilmiah Mahasiswa Peternakan Indonesia TIMPI dengan level tingkat nasional dan meraih prestasi juara 1 medali emas. Dianggotai oleh Halif Muhlis Kusmawan dan juga Rania. Maka dari itu untuk perwakilan saya undang untuk maju ke depan. Selanjutnya adalah Lomba Penilaian Ternak atau Judging di kegiatan Temu Ilmiah Mahasiswa Peternakan Indonesia TIMPI tingkat nasional pula dan meraih juara 1 atau medali emas yang diraih oleh Fauzan Bahana Salma. Untuk itu, kepada Kang Fauzan saya undang untuk ke depan. Selanjutnya adalah Lomba KBMKP di kegiatan Temu Ilmiah Mahasiswa Peternakan Indonesia atau TIMPI yang juga memiliki level dan meraih juara 1 medali emas oleh Dinda Rahmanadira. Oleh itu saya mengundang C. Dinda untuk ke depan. Selanjutnya masih dari TIMPI atau Temu Ilmiah Mahasiswa Peternakan Indonesia, Lomba Fotografi tingkat nasional dan meraih juara 1 atau medali emas yang diraih oleh Kang Daimul Hoir. Untuk itu saya undang untuk ke depan. Selanjutnya adalah lomba karya tulis ilmiah mahasiswa tingkat nasional Universitas Brawijaya 2023 yang meraih juara 1 atau medali emas yang beranggotakan Dika Mulia Hermawan, Billy Novita Samaria Lingga, Rizky Aziz Tri, Galuh Hayuning Aninditya. Untuk perwakilan dari tim tersebut diharapkan untuk maju ke depan. Selanjutnya yang kita telah saksikan tadi presentasinya yaitu tim PKM Kewirausahaan tingkat nasional yang lolos didanai oleh Dikti yang beranggotakan dari Bening Maria Syafa, Safira Marwa Naifa Oktaviano, Develin Bane, dan Muhammad Daimul Hoir. Untuk perwakilannya saya undang untuk ke depan. Dan yang terakhir adalah PKM Penerapan Iptek tingkat nasional yang berhasil didanai oleh Dikti, beranggotakan Arya Alivia, Anissa Suci Givari Suryadi, dan Satria Bentang Samudra. Untuk perwakilan saya undang untuk ke depan. Baik, untuk apresiasi prestasi akan disampaikan langsung oleh Ibu Indrawati. Kepada Ibu Indrawati saya undang untuk ke depan. Habis ini tuh gimana? Baik, selanjutnya adalah sesi dokumentasi, hitungan ada pada saya. Baik. Oke, baik. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Baik. Terima kasih banyak atas mahasiswa berprestasi dan juga kepada Ibu Indra atas apresiasinya. Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian. Selanjutnya sebagai penghujung acara, sebelum nantinya kita akan berdoa bersama, kita akan bersama-sama himne universitas kita tercinta, yaitu Universitas Padjadjaran. Untuk itu saya mengundang Bapak Ibu Akang Ece hadirin sekalian untuk berdiri. Bapak dan Ibu disilakan untuk duduk kembali. Nah, mana nomor? Nama Bapak? Baik Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, tentunya tidak afdol rasanya ketika ada suatu kegiatan namun kita tidak memanjatkan doa. Selanjutnya kita akan yang akan dipimpin oleh Bapak Insinyur Syahirul Alim SPT MSI IPM. Saya mengundang Bapak Syahirul Alim untuk ke depan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang kami hormati Bapak Dekan Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran beserta jajarannya, yang kami hormati para guru besar, staf pendidik dan kependidikan, para mahasiswa Fakultas Peternakan, yang kami hormati juga para purna bakti, dan the honorable guest speaker. Mari kita bersama-sama sejenak berdoa kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala, mudah-mudahan doa kita diijabah olehnya. Let's take a moment to pray to God the Almighty. Saya doa dengan tata cara Islam. I will lead the prayer in Islam. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan wa fina wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalalika wajhal karim wa dimastani. Allahumma shalli ala wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka bi anna nashhadu annaka antallah la ilaha illa anta al-ahadus samad alladzi lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Ya Allah ya Rahmanur Rahim. Pada hari ini kami berkumpul di tempat yang mulia ini dengan penuh ketundukan dan kekhusyuan, memanjatkan puji dan syukur kehadirat-Mu atas limpahan nikmat dan karunia-Mu yang tak terhingga kepada kami, keluarga besar Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran. Ya Allah yang Maha Kuasa, berikanlah kepada kami kemampuan untuk selalu mensyukuri nikmat-Mu yang telah Engkau anugerahkan kepada kami. Berikanlah kepada kami kemampuan untuk mengerjakan semua perintah-Mu dan berikanlah kepada kami untuk meninggalkan larangan-larangan-Mu. Masukkanlah kami ke dalam golongan hamba-hamba-Mu yang bertakwa. Ya Allah ya Rahman ya Rahim, kami berkumpul di ruangan yang berbahagia ini memperingati Natalis Fakultas Peternakan yang ke-60. Kami mohon kepadamu ya Allah, jadikanlah kampus yang kami banggakan ini sebagai institusi yang terus mengalirkan air pengetahuan dan ilmu yang memberikan berkah untuk masyarakat, bangsa, agama, dan negara. Berkatilah setiap langkah dan usaha kami ya Allah, agar kami senantiasa dapat memberikan kontribusi terbaik bagi kemajuan peternakan di negeri ini. Bimbingkanlah kami dalam menyikapi tantangan dan perubahan zaman, agar kami selalu menjadi garda terdepan dalam menghadirkan solusi bagi keberlanjutan peternakan dan kesejahteraan masyarakat Indonesia. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang Maha Bijaksana, pada perjalanan Fakultas Peternakan yang mencapai 60 tahun ini, berikanlah kepada segenap sivitas akademika kekuatan lahir dan batin, kesejahteraan jasmani dan rohani, serta berikanlah petunjuk dan hidayah-Mu agar kami dapat meneruskan perjuangan cita-cita para pendiri kampus ini. Tanamkan sifat dan kasih sayang-Mu kepada kami semua, agar persaudaraan di antara kami tetap terjalin utuh. Ya Allah yang Maha Pemberi, berilah taufik-Mu kepada pimpinan Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Padjadjaran beserta seluruh jajarannya agar mereka tetap mampu menjadi suri tauladan bagi kami, membimbing dan mengayomi kami menuju cita-cita luhur yang Engkau ridhoi. Ya Allah ya Rahmanur Rahim, anugerahilah para pendidik dan staf kependidikan di kampus kami dengan kemampuan untuk menjalankan setiap amanah dengan baik yang dapat meningkatkan kualitas pendidikan di kampus ini. Ya Allah ya Rahmanur Rahim, anugerahkan pula keberkahan dan kesuksesan kepada seluruh mahasiswa yang sedang menuntut ilmu di kampus ini. Jadikanlah mereka mahasiswa yang berakhlak mulia, bertanggung jawab dan selalu siap memberikan manfaat bagi sesama. Ya Allah ya Rahman ya Rahim, jadikanlah setiap jasa baik dan pengorbanan, setiap tawa dan tangis yang terukir di Fakultas Peternakan ini menjadi amal jariah bagi kami dan generasi yang akan datang. Ya Allah, dalam rasa tawakal kepadamu, kami yakin bahwa Engkau akan meridhoi langkah-langkah kami dan membimbing kami menuju puncak kesuksesan. Engkaulah yang Maha mengetahui, Maha Pemurah dan Maha Penyayang. Rabbana ighfir lana wa liwalidayna warhamhum kama rabbana shighara. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, terima kasih banyak kepada Pak Syahir pimpin doa kita pada hari ini. Selanjutnya Bapak Ibu kita akan melakukan sesi foto bersama. Untuk itu saya mengundang untuk dosen-dosen Fakultas Peternakan untuk maju ke depan karena di depan akan terlebih dahulu, lalu di belakang. Mahasiswa boleh berdiri semuanya, yuk sekarang yuk. Menghadapnya
Ya, sama.
Oke, baik. Mungkin yang di belakang boleh agak ke depan biar kelihatan. Tapi sebelumnya kita lakukan dokumentasi sama tenaga pendidik juga para dosen Fakultas Peternakan. Untuk mahasiswa boleh langsung bersiap-siap aja untuk merapat ke depan biar kelihatan nanti di fotonya. Untuk Akang Ece boleh tidak keluar dulu ya, karena kita akan sesi dokumentasi terlebih dahulu. Karena acaranya juga belum ditutup, jadi untuk tetap di aula terlebih dahulu ya Kang Ece. Terima kasih. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, hitungan ada pada saya. Oke, baik. 1, 2, 3. Baik, boleh ganti gaya? Oke, tangannya diangkat, angka 5. Oke, baik. Baik, 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu. Mungkin kita akan melakukan dokumentasi dengan mahasiswa. Betul, Bapak Ibu. Untuk teman-teman mahasiswa,